I'm Blaze Saunders.
And I'm Craig Corsai, and we're the founders of Light in the Wilderness Ministries.
And our goal is to bring testimonies of followers of Jesus Christ to the world.
If you'd like to learn more about our ministry, check out our website at lightinthewilderness.org. Hey, welcome to Light in the Wilderness. Today we're honored to have on Jimmy Graham, veteran U.S. Navy SEAL, former CIA protective officer, who's nationally recognized as an expert on community safety and readiness, with an emphasis on shootings and violent encounters. Jimmy is now the founder and CEO of Able Shepherd, a Christ-centered organization training communities on emergency readiness. Jimmy, we're honored to have you on today, and thank you for joining us. So.
Looking forward to it. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, what an honor.
Maine is beautiful right now.
Best time of the year right
now. Yeah, it's beautiful. And you're coming in from Colorado.
Yes.
Man, so what's the correlate? I know you have to say Colorado, but you got some chops for like Maine, right?
After this week and what we've experienced, man, it's torn. But I do know how humid it gets here. I'm from Kansas City originally. Yeah. So going out west, I don't know that I can live anywhere, but Montana, Wyoming, Colorado has just got a place in my heart, man.
Yeah. I was thinking about it this morning because I just moved out from Los Angeles like a year and a bit ago, and I was like, man, I don't know how I could go back to LA now. I mean, I love LA, don't get me wrong, but I was like, man, it's just something in the environment, like feeling like getting out and like the preparedness, like you were saying, getting away from things and just just the peace of being able to get out in the wilderness. And I know that's been a bit of a part of your story too that you were telling us about before, like what God's done with you in the mountains. So I wanted to kind of swing back to that for a second when you have a moment.
Oh, absolutely.
Thanks so much for joining us. I mean, just a call out like this last week I got to do, be very humbled and do a bit of training with Jimmy and Able Shepherd and go through this entries course, which was like a lot of information and incredible and such a powerful sort of way of just throwing everybody in the deep end, man. Like kicking indoors and shooting the wrong people a couple of times. and
so if you're going to mess up, do it in the training house.
That's exactly
not in
right.
Local church.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, so it was super cool, and I would just encourage anybody to go check out Able Shepherd. It was amazing, and you're training up everybody from civilians, law enforcement, anybody who wants it, really, anybody who's passionate.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
You get a lot of churches that put packages together with their security teams and stuff.
Yeah. So I would say the way that it started, people say, how do you go from that to this, like in SEAL teams to GRS to now you're doing this? And I say, you have kids, man. You get married and have kids, and then you hand them to somebody else and say, what are you doing to protect them? Like I'm going to hand them to you alive, and I expect them to be alive when I get them back. What are you doing for that? And they say, well, we go to the range. I'm like, I'm not talking about shooting. I'm talking about protection. And they're like, what does that mean? So then if you've seen behind that deal, you're like, there's a standard. Why don't you have one? And you don't go in there, like we talked about, it's very easy for us to see what's wrong, and maybe miss what's right. So what's right is you're doing Sunday school and you're teaching them and you're educating them. We're partners in that. But if there was an issue, what are you doing to protect them? And they don't even understand protection is. So you go, well, this is what protection is. It's self-defense, and then stand in front of somebody you love. Right now you're a protector. It means to make it even easier, to get to them, you've got to go through me. And it's winner take all. And I'm going to keep this kid. Like you got to convince me of that before I'm going to trust you, say, with a firearm.
Yeah, totally.
And then what we talked about in class was people are drawn to physical protection. If I said protector, you'd be like, yeah, protector. I'm like, yeah, but it means the same thing. More importantly, it's spiritually, then mentally, then physically. So I hook mostly men, women too, but mostly men come in to be a physical protector, and immediately they're going to hear from me that spiritual and mental is more important. Well, what does that look like? Same thing. To get to them, you got to go through me spiritually. Like I will have to defend my kids spiritually every single day. The gun thing, maybe, actually, probably not. But spiritually and mentally, what's mentally mean? Intellectually, like you can't make healthy people mentally if you're a crazy person. You just can't. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I need to become better. They can't be better. So that means.
How does that look like? What's that look like for spiritually?
Spiritually, where are you going to go when you die? Like who are you and whose are you? If you ask my kids, they'd answer you. Right, and they'd be correct. Yeah, they're like, I'm royalty for one, and I am a son or daughter of Jesus Christ. And if I died right now, I would go to heaven. If you don't know that, how would they? Yeah. If they didn't know, it's because you didn't teach them. And then intellectually, are we growing? Are we? I'll tell them and say, we should listen to both sides and make a decision based on our worldview. They would know that. But now I meet men that are like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, they can't say that. Well, the truth is they can say whatever they want. but so can you. But what are you going to actually believe and see through your worldview? And what is your worldview? They're like, what are you talking about? What's the lens you see life through? I don't really have one. What's a problem? Let's talk about that, right? So they want to be a protector guy, and I'm not picking so much. And me and Nick go back and forth about this, about the sheepdog mentality. I didn't accidentally come up with able shepherd. God gave me a word, and it was able means capable, and shepherd means teacher and leader and protector, right? And that means spiritually and mentally and physically.
Wow.
So if I'm a sheepdog, I'll say, if they attack you physically, Grandpa will show up and defend you. And I'm like, I don't believe you because you never show up for anything. Right, so you're going to sit out the teaching and leading part. So like if you know, like you're on the porch with your long gun saying if the enemy comes over the horizon, Grandpa will protect you. The enemy's in your daughter's bedroom already.
Yeah, right.
You know, on that phone or convincing people that they're not mentally strong and then they take their own life. That's not okay, right? I don't have a sense of humor about that. It's like, guys, there's no hiding place. That's what shepherd means to me.
Yeah. I mean, that's spot on. And that was so much of your course. I mean, we spent a bit of time, you know, during breaks having a bit of a chat. And then there was that segment at the end where you talked about confrontation and sort of dealing with conflict. And you brought everything back to what you're saying now, this idea of being the kind of the biggest overview I took from it. It's like being responsible, being present, and being godly. I mean, obviously that was kind of the crux of it all. The underpinning of it was all faith in Christ, really. Like I could see you just keep bringing it back to that. And that's powerful, man. But I love that idea because a lot of guys will be there. They've got 1,000 guns in their bedroom and a gun at every door. And yet they're crashing out every night on the couch drunk. Or they're watching porn and you know, they're doing all these things and cheating on their wife or they're not taking care of their kids. But yeah, if anyone breaks in, it's like, you're totally right, man. It's like the fight generally is completely with principalities, powers of darkness. It's not with the physical gun, even though you yourself and guys like you have done a bunch of that. I think ultimately in this world we're in right now, the fight is with the darkness in the spiritual realm. And guys aren't taking care of that. So
I was honored last night to be in a book study. Nick's over there going, don't call it a book club.
A book club. It's not
a book study in Maine where there's like 10 or more guys sitting around reading a book, going chapter to chapter, highlighting for the past 7 weeks, and it's the book I wrote. Called The Return of Man, right? And God led me to write this book, and we were talking about that. Like, is it, you know, we don't battle against flesh and blood. We battle against, you know, dark forces and principalities and the rulers of evil, like dark rulers, all of that. And I said, yeah, but I believe a proper translation, another translation would be merely. We don't battle merely with flesh and blood, but that evil does manifest in flesh and blood. Like you can't aim, like there's an active shooter and you're going, I'm shooting at principalities. No, shoot him. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's manifesting there. So it does manifest in that. So I would say, yes, if you understand that there's puppet strings and who's controlling yours, if that's dark forces, that should tick you off. You should say, no, we're not doing that, right?
So good. There's a guy by the name of John Ramirez. He's a former Satanist and now follower of Christ, preaches, teaches, and he said, so he used to go out like sort of in the spirit realm and clubs and bars and places like that, and he made a comment in his book where he would go out and like find Christians and just try to mess with them. But he said, like, you know, get him drunk, get him like get him sinning, get him other things. And what's so interesting about that, he made a comment. He said, to crush anything in the physical, you have to deal with it in the spiritual first. So what you're saying is fully right. It's like you're dealing with the spiritual in the beginning, and then the final execution of that is in the physical. So this person that's running down shooting people in the street, you know, this active shooter, it started somewhere spiritually first.
That's right.
And then if you're spiritually prepared, like you're ultimately doing with these courses you're doing, I think it then should prevent some of that outpouring. If some things miss, and then you've got somebody like you, or these people trained like you're doing.
And it's the little things too, right? We just talked about this, and you know this. Like this guy is like, and I'd hear this in the SEAL teams, just makes you laugh, or law enforcement, or whatever. It's like, you know, so and so, like he's a good dude. I mean, you know, he cheats on his wife and beats his kids, but he's a good dude. I'm like, what's your definition of good, bro? Like you just said, like. Good means godly. We have a T-shirt that says this: good equals godly, right equals righteous. So what does good mean if you really boil it down? It's God. If you look at, say, dictionary definitions, but don't use Webster's current, use the 1828, they all refer back to Scripture. You know, goodbye meant God be with ye. Like that's just what we said. Because there's only one thing that's good, right? So when you say it's good, or you say, I just want to do what's right. And I would say, oh, what's righteous? Me too. Well, I didn't mean that. Well, that's what it means. So what did you mean? Well, I don't know what it means. Let's go with mine then. You know, it's like, it's just, words have to mean something again, right?
Yeah.
Or you lose credibility. I said credibility leads, character leads to credibility, leads to legacy. And we don't think like that anymore. Like, what will be your legacy? A guy that threw around words but didn't really show up. It's like, that's not a good one, actually. That's not a godly one. I'm gonna change mine.
Man, this conversation amps me up. I love it. I think in my mind, I'm going to like 4 or 5 different places to try to help you open up the best you can with this, because there's a lot of wisdom that you bring to the table. Do you mind if we circle back to a little bit of the beginning of your story and hear a little bit about your, like, maybe your upbringing and you know, whatever you feel the pace to take that, your father and your upbringing?
Yeah. Man, let me think about that for a second. So parents, dad was in the Vietnam War, but not in Vietnam. He was stationed in Okinawa. Met my mom, got married like many vets do, married a different culture, brought her back. That didn't work out. Right. I remember us probably, so 3 of us, my oldest brother, Mike, myself, younger sister, Jill. Remember arguments that turned to yelling, that turned to, you know, hurt, throwing stuff and all that. I was thinking about this recently because I lost my dad not long ago. And it was in a motorcycle wreck. And I'd like to get back to that if I don't forget, because of the way that he died and the relationship we had before he died. I thank God for that because it was a gift. But back then, I remember him getting in the arguments and kind of yelling, but I don't remember him the one throwing stuff and I was never scared of my dad. I was kind of freaked out by her, you know, but I guess this is what happens. I guess this is what they do. Right. So then she got an apartment and I remember meeting some kids there and going and seeing mom. And then I remember her mom got sick and then she went back to Japan to take care of her. And this last time I saw her, right?
This is your mom?
This is my mom, my birth mom. And that was confusing, but in the middle, I think my brother knew her. He was older, so he had kind of more of what was going on.
How old were you, right?
I'm guessing 6, right? 6, 7. Brother was 2 years older. He was more mad. My sister didn't know her as well, so I don't know. And I was somewhere in the middle, right? Later on, I came to a place where I just forgave her of like, what must it have been for her to come over to a new culture, be frustrated, it wasn't what she thought, scared, you know, language barriers, she had very, very strong accent, and then to go back, and then the guilt of, I left my kids, you know what I mean? In an honorable culture, Japan, you left your kid? You're like, I just don't know. There's too much I don't know, and I don't choose to carry it anymore. Brother still does. Sister still longs for a relationship, you know, so there's been sporadic calls, but I haven't seen her since, you know.
Wow.
I don't know the time frame, but my dad entered the dating scene, which was weird back then, like in the 70s, you know, early 80s, and then met who I call my mom, Nancy Graham. And then through that, I remember walking into a whole new family and then meeting this dude. And he was just like, I'm like this tall. And he was a World War II vet named Wayne, my grandpa, like Wayne Oberdike. And he was in World War II, Battle of the Bulge, all this stuff. But I didn't know any of that then. I just knew that this is all kind of crazy and weird, and this guy's kind of appropriately dangerous.
Yeah, right.
And he's working on stuff. I remember, like, when I say that, I mean, we're little, and we got these sticks, and we're running around stabbing stuff. And he goes, "Hey, boys, come here." I'm like, uh-oh, we're about to get in trouble. And he takes all those sticks and puts them in a vise and shows me a draw knife and puts a proper point on them. And he's like, now go. And I'm like, don't stab each other. And I'm like, roger that. Like, this is okay. And like, that was like all of it. Like when a car was broken, it was in his garage. That was just a given. You just swing by, let's figure it out. And it was like he was always bleeding. Yeah. It's like, always covered with oil, but let's get it off with kerosene. I'm like, is this okay? Is this what we do? You know? And it was just exhilarating for a young dude. And then as like
a man's man, like at every level.
Man, but it was like, I mean, he would, if there was a circle, I mean, on Thanksgiving, we would circle up and pray. That's just what you do. And
he led that?
Yeah, it was the patriarch matriarch kind of thing on my dad's side, you know, was my grandma, Ethel and Grandma Richardson. Everybody, it wasn't a question where you'd be on Christmas. It wasn't a question where you'd be Christmas Eve. It wasn't a question on Thanksgiving. It's just what you did. But somebody had to make that so. You know what I mean? Like, well, we'll see you on Christmas meant this is where we are, right? And when they passed, that passed. And then the family didn't really get together anymore. You know what I mean? So that's a lesson, you know, for all of us. So it was like, perhaps I'm that guy, you know, maybe with my kids, maybe they're going to want to come home. And maybe when you say this is where we're at. But so going through and learning that he was, you know, a veteran of World War II, that he was a farmer before that in Kansas, and then going to World War II, and then coming back and going working for the post office to retire with the federal, and then went to school to be a clown. And I'm like, why? And it's like, he just liked making kids laugh, because clowns are creepy now, but like, he's just like, how do you make the little, I remember this like silly little skunk with a spring in it. When you like go to pet it, you'd pull it and it turned and people jump back and it's funny, right?
Yeah.
But the guy just wanted to make people happy. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is a dangerous dude that has been there, done that, but now he wants to go to school to make people laugh. Like, that's odd, right? But
Sounds like a legend.
Yeah, right. And all I wanted to do is be close to him. Like, it's like, this is a funny story that I haven't thought of in a long, long time. We went to Lake Michigan, and he was showing us, and I saw the first time I thought I was going to see a man get killed. And we were there in a campground, and it was just me for whatever reason and my stepbrother, because when my dad got married to Nancy, my mom, she had 2 sons, one older, one younger. They became my brothers. And for whatever reason, it was me and my brother Steve, and we're out there, and we witnessed this fight break out, and these guys are going at it, and one guy punches a guy on top of the head, an older gentleman, he falls down. The guy breaks a glass and jumps on top of him, and literally the guys grab his, and I'm young, man, I'm maybe 9, 10, something like that, and it really shook me up. So we go back to the deal, and I'm like, oh man, like, Grandpa, if those guys come, and he goes, oh, those guys, they're not dangerous. Like, I'll take care of those guys, but I believed him. You know what I mean? It was just like, I'm not okay right now. And then it was like, he made it okay. And I was like, and I didn't know why, but I'm like, okay, I guess we're good. Because Grandpa said, like, he had that credibility.
Cool, man. I love what you're framing here too, because like as you were speaking, Greg and I actually went to this, we were in Ohio deer hunting, and we were invited to this family's house, this gorgeous family. We actually turned up late because we were out, we corrected ourselves after because we were out hunting for too long, but we got invited to this dinner, and we sat in this amazing, beautiful house, and there was this, the head of the patriarch of the family was this gentleman, chiropractor, businessman, like just established, godly man in the way he handled himself. And we sat at this table, and we were all like, he hands out hymnals, and we're all like singing hymns and praying. And
this dinner table was like 30 feet long. There was everybody in the whole family. We were at a CrossFit gym
every Tuesday night. Every Tuesday night.
They said, hey, Tuesday night, we'd like for you to join us for have dinner and a Bible study. They're like, we know you're hunting. It starts at 6, but if you get there a little bit late, it's no big deal. Just come when you guys are done hunting. So we showed up at like 6:15, and everybody's sitting at the table. The dinner's been sitting on the table for 15 minutes.
We felt so bad, but then we
bad, and then the guy passed out all these hymnals, and
but it was exactly that. But what brought to mind as you're telling me the story of this guy is that this gentleman at the head of the table, he was really. I asked him, and he's like, I wanted to set a tradition here. Every Tuesday night, the whole family is there. Everybody's cooking and speaking. Every one of the grandchildren around the table is praying, talking about a story that happened. He's asking us questions. And what it set in me was like, dude, I want to create that.
Yes.
And so what you're framing here and what I'm seeing, and I think it was brilliant, and what a part of I've noticed, and I want to hear more of what you think on this, is this coming back to these godly traditional men.
Yes.
That are traditional in the sense of like standing on the scriptures.
Yeah.
The traditions of the scriptures. And that's what I'm hearing with this. And that's what resonated in me as you said.
Present what you want more of, right? Not talk about it, not say it. Show me. Like, show me what you want more of. And I often wonder if these men, and Nick's it right there. So it's like, when they do this for the community, they know they're doing it. Like, it's like, I'm just going to be me. I had a mentor that told me this. He goes, I really struggle with numbers. Like, I really do. So don't put me in the spot and ask me about math. Like, remember how many years? I'm like, oh, no, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
But he literally did this at one point when I was just struggling and trying to make the business go. And he goes, hey, this P&L and this budget and these pro formas, and I guess he goes, this is easy for me. And I see you're struggling with it. How about I take that? And this is the best compliment I ever got in my life. Go be you. Because I've never seen anybody who do what you do. And I can handle this for now. So let me do this. I'll teach you as we go, but it's not important you know this. You need to focus on being you. And I was like, it's just like, what does that mean? And then you got to think about, what does that mean? Me be me. Like, what am I? Like, what is that thing? And now you can actually just spend more energy going after that thing that God says, go do this. Because I spent most of my life doing it wrong. That's what the return of man is. It's I chased a thing for many, many years, going from that, growing up in Kansas City, meeting my grandpa, doing all that. And he would joke with me, and I'd be like, yeah, I think I'm going to go to the military. He's like, you're not tough enough. And he's like, me and Warren Jones, we were so tough from the farm, they didn't know what to do with us. And I believed all this, right? He's just talking. And then I remember enlisting. And one of the last things he said was, "You're plenty tough." Like I've known you, I've messed with you, but it was like a validation before the validation, right? And then I go into the Navy and check that out. Then I go into SEAL training through BUDS and make it. And I remember I'm coming back and, well, I haven't thought about this in a bit. So we're sitting there on leave for Christmas. And I'd taken some community college stuff and my mom goes, "Hey, you're deploying and he's not getting any younger and you're about to leave to go overseas." And he's like, "Did you ever show him those things you wrote?" It was just, in creative writing, you just do journals. It's just to get you writing. And she had come across one of them and it was, it really moved her. And it was called Wayne Oberdeck.
Wayne Oberdeck. This is this gentleman.
My grandpa.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Have you ever given him this?" I'm like, and all of a sudden it was like, no, why would I do that? It's like, and then it's like, well, he could die and not know that. Right. And you could die and whatever. And I was like, and then I had to, like we only live 5 minutes away. I jump in my car as fast as I can. I drive and I go in the attic, pull the string and the stairs come down and I'm going through a file cabinet. And I'm like, I must find this. And I'm like, so then I go, but now I'm kind of nervous. And I come up and I crap, I got to talk to you a minute. And he's like, "Yeah, what do you got?" And I hand it to him. He looks at it and then he closes it and leaves. And I'm like, uh-oh, like, did I mention something about the war? Did I trigger something? Is he mad at me? Because it was just bolt. And I'm like, ugh. He comes back and he's been crying. He comes back and he's like swollen up crying. And he's like, "Come with," but like we're all like young. I mean, I'm like 20 something, 22. He's like, "Come with me." But he says it like I'm in trouble. And I'm still like, uh-oh. We go in his office and he goes in and he had this big old amazing safe that he never locked. And he opens it up and he pulls out a Bible and it's like this big. And remember, I'm the grandson from marriage, so I'm not the blood. This is a family heirloom, and he opens it up. And it's got he carried it in World War II over his heart. It's got an iron cover, right? And his mom wrote in it. And it was like before there was the Gideon's Bible. It was like, if you're sick, read this. If you're tired, if you're weary of heart, the forces of evil and stuff. And he hands me this, and we just start hugging, and we're both bawling, so you don't want to let go, because like, I'm not crying, you're crying. Yeah. I'm not crying, and it's flowing, but I'm like, oh man, like all the stuff's going on, like I'm not even blood, and that wasn't even up for discussion, right? So anyways, that happens, and then we kind of break, and it's like, yeah, okay, and we walk out, and I walk out with him, and we're both and my aunt walks by, and she's like, "Dad," because at that age, something's wrong. We need to call the doctor kind of thing. She's like, Dad, and he just hands it to her. And then now the whole family's crying. So they're just handing it over and over and over. But it was just talking about the seeing this guy, exactly what I said. I was a little kid coming into this. I didn't know. I'm just writing to learn how to write. But what came out of me was like, man, this guy validated me. And he, gave me the confidence to go do this and this. And then, so leaving to go overseas, he was like, you're plenty. You're enough. I've seen that grit. I've seen all this stuff. And they deserve you. It's like, whew, it wasn't what can my country do for me? Country's going to get a good deal here, because what are you bringing to the SEAL teams? And I'm like, ooh, that's good.
Bro, powerful, man. That's awesome. Yeah, like really strong. So what do you think, like, there's so many, there's probably guys listening that are like, man, I wish I had even a step granddad like that, or I wish I had a man like that when I was a kid, but I don't.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of baggage around it, right? Because we see this all the time with the pursuits that we do. And we see a lot of men that just, that kind of a bit bitter at the world, right? Because they haven't had that. And they're kind of rightfully so. Yeah. Can be a bit bitter. I get it, man. Yeah. Like, why? Man, I didn't have this, didn't have that. Was God not care about me? Didn't look out for me?
Yeah. I would say it's a necessity. You need one, go find one. Right. Yeah, so it's like, I never got. It's like, woe is me. Okay. It's like, this is what I know to be true now, that there are dudes desperately searching for a mentor, and there's mentors desperately searching to impart what they know. Yeah. And it's going to take courage to unite them. Right. It's like, my dad taught me, my grandpa taught me, my mentor taught me, used to be the thing. And now I just found it on YouTube. It's like, okay, we're mass murdering our relationships. It's like, you must do that. Like those guys, I talked to one of my close mentors named Neil, and he had a disease that may take his life, but it hasn't, and he's fought it. And he's like, I said, brother, I need you to model this, because I've never had a disease like that. I've never retired, so I'm watching you. I've never died. Like I've had people show me how to die. I've had SEALs and a sister-in-law show me how to die, like model it, like clung to Christ until they were no longer here, and now they're in heaven. And that's a big deal. So we're watching each other to the end, and you're not done yet, right? So that vision of like maybe overseas in an Arab country. The old man's talking, all the kids are sitting there. That's priceless, and we must have it, like yesterday. Somebody who's lived a life and loves you enough to tell you the truth. Like, who's that?
Yeah,
and if you don't have one, find them now.
That's so good. Yeah, actually, I think this came up in another discussion that I had where it is true. Like, if you go to a local church, I mean, preferably one that teaches the Bible, right, and doesn't have rainbow flags out the front of it.
Right.
But you go to a church and you go to enough of them, you're going to find somebody who's going to be able to impart truth to you. Like you said, somebody will pop to mind, and the Holy Spirit will utter that to you as well. Of like, who should I let to sharpen me? Yeah. Iron sharpens iron like one man sharpens another, right? Who should sharpen somebody? And that's super good, man. I think that anybody listening that doesn't have that needs to find it. Yeah. And it's God will bring it in your life.
If you have the information, find someone to mentor.
So good. Yeah.
We should be plugging into somebody and also plugging into somebody else.
And if you're worthy of being a mentor, that step should likely come from you. And I'll say it this way: if I think about the mentors in my life that came to me, meaning not like I see you're an idiot, maybe I can help. It was like something about you. I see it, and I didn't come to them and say, "Can we meet on Tuesdays?" Yeah. They came to me and said, "You need anything?" And then I didn't know enough to say yes. So they said, "How about we meet on Tuesdays and we just talk?" And all of a sudden they're doing my P&Ls, all that stuff. Wow. Or they're mentoring me, like make this a weekly thing. But I don't know that I had the courage to ask them for their time. Everybody feels like a burden. Yeah. And and Scripture talks about take on one another's burdens. When you do, you realize they're not burdens. That's the good stuff. That's life, right? And he's like, I've got a little bandwidth now. I've been blessed, got a little money in my pocket. I'm not going in 9 to 5. I do have time for the future, and you're it, right? So I'm going to invest. This is an investment in the country I love. When I meet with people going to the military, it is an investment to save a country that I dearly love. It's not a burden. They're not paying for coffee. They're not paying for lunch. Like, I'll pay for lunch. I'll get that. And they don't even have to listen, but I get a shot in making them a better contribution to the SEAL teams that I love.
Yeah, I like how you just said too about not going to YouTube for it. I mean, sometimes YouTube's great for a lot of these things, right? But you're right. Having that moment, because YouTube really is just sound bites a lot of the times. It's just these quick snippets, and it's like if you want to learn anything, going on YouTube can help maybe for hanging a TV on the wall or something like that. But in terms of like, and there's greater than that. But having that interaction with a person,
no relationship,
and seeing that relationship unfold and how people handle things in different situations, and I think that's that. And then the thing I like about that too is it gets you away from distraction as well. Like, because when you're present with somebody, and that's something actually I wanted to talk to you about. But when you're present with somebody and you're present, there's a whole shift that takes place in the dynamic of the relationship. Like, you can tell when somebody's distracted. Yeah. My wife tells me all the time. She's like, "Blaze, I think you're a little distracted right now. Can you come back and please hang out with the family?"
Right.
I'm like, "Yeah, okay, cool."
Yeah.
One thing, I mean, I'm sure you got a lot of this with your SEAL training, and just seeing you train others was profound and awesome to watch. What do you think? Because the biggest thing I've noticed with men these days, and myself, I've talked to myself actually, is distraction. We talked a little bit about this with story, right? And I think a lot of people will resonate with this. There's so much that flows at us, especially living in big cities, even living in the woods, man. Yeah. There's a lot of distraction on this content and media and stuff that's flowing at us all the time, our own thoughts, how are we going to do this, how are we going to do that? What do you do to stay focused? I mean, is there some principles that we could grab onto to really help impart to people listening for focus and understanding how to push through?
Man, that's such a good question. So this constantly working on this, but that be still and know that I'm God. I put it this way, because military talk, it's like I'm a pretty simple dude, right? It's communication is this. From being a communicator, there's a transmitter and a receiver, or there's no communication, right? So if there's a transmitter and a receiver, to make communication, I tell people, if you're not hearing from God, it's always a problem with the receiver. He's transmitting 24/7. There's a problem with the receiver. Perhaps you're on the wrong frequency. And I've found that my frequency, a little splash of danger, usually the Rocky Mountains and solitude, right? Even if I have my dog, it's a different deal. There's a disruption. There's a distraction. There's a disruption. There's something's not right. And then you have to be intentional. So we've showed people through spiritual journaling, which just means listen, be still, get that pen moving. And for the first page, you're just scribbling about, new tires on your truck and maybe get the 6.5 Creedmoor or 308, gas or diesel. Like, it doesn't matter what you're writing, but if you're patient, all of a sudden, and this is a weird story. You start writing a song or a poem, and you're like, "What's going on?" This is true. Okay, so check this story out.
Yeah.
When I was playing with this, I go to a retreat. It's a men's retreat. Some guys told me about, and I go in, and the guy that's speaking, he's our leader. Usually there's a leader, there's a Christian brother that's going to lead you. And we go, and he starts dropping F-bombs, and I'm like, "Man, this is a Christian thing." Like, I'm just confused, and I'm like, "What?" And then finally he goes, "You guys have any questions?" Because we're going to break from our first session. I go, "I got a question. What's up with your language?" And he goes,
I love it.
"What do you mean what's up with the language?" I'm like, "Man, that's a Christian thing, and you're sitting there dropping F-bombs. You think that's appropriate?" And he kind of got defensive and whatever. And then it's like, "Okay, we're ready to break." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I might be starting my truck pretty soon and getting out of here because this ain't for me." Right? So I go, we do a session. I start writing, and I'm writing about whatever. And then I start writing. Maybe it's a song, and I start writing, and it's a story about a dude, and I've got it on my phone, but I'm not gonna look it up. It's a story about a guy who his whole life has been lifting people up to see over this fence. Where did this come from? I have no idea. Like, I believe it was.
It just came out of you.
It just came out of me.
Yeah, right.
This guy's helping people. Like, he's lifting them up, and they're standing on his shoulders so they can see over this fence or this wall. Just like he looks over, and then the next person. His whole life, that's what he's done. And then there comes a time where he just can't do it anymore, right? So he's like, "I just can't do this anymore," and then he dies. And then the father comes over, and then he's standing back at this wall, and somebody asks him, says, "What's so amazing that's over there that would be worth you spending your whole life lifting somebody up?" He goes, "I don't know, I've never seen it." And he goes, "But I've done it so much, the look on their face when they came down was worth it." Right? And then upon hearing that, the father lifted him up, and he said what he saw was beautiful indeed, right? Man. And I'm like, "Where does this come from?" And I called it the mentor. And I go back in, and now we're doing the next session. I'm like, I'm not telling anybody that I just wrote a poem. Right? Or a song. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, okay,
it's a parable.
Yeah, it was a parable.
It's a parable. You literally wrote a little parable, man.
So then I come back in, and here this guy comes back, and he starts talking. And then I'm like, he comes back in, and he does the next session, and then he looks at me, and he's like a little upset, and he goes, and I kind of just forgot about it, but I'm still debating on if I'm gonna go home or not. And he goes, "It makes me feel powerful." I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Curse words make me feel powerful." And he starts crying and talking about abuse when he was a kid and all this other stuff. And he's a successful dude, and nobody checks him on it, so it just kind of gets out of hand and all this other stuff. Man. And I'm like, and he goes, "And I just help where I can to make people better, but it makes you feel powerful." And I'm like, and I pray before I say this. I'm like, "Uh-oh," because I know what God's knocking on my forehead. I'm like, "Uh-oh, don't do this." I'm like, "I've never said this to a man in my life, but I think I wrote you a poem." And the guys are like, "What? This is uncomfortable."
It's great.
And I read it, and he loses it. And it in a good way, right? Man. And we go, and I'm like, "Oh." So then, and this was, anyways, we go through this couple day thing, and we're getting ready to break, and they say, "Any breakthroughs in the deal?" So my group knows about this, but I'm thinking everybody's got their breakthroughs. And the leader, he stands up, and he's like, and he starts crying already. "We've got a breakthrough." And I'm like, "Uh-oh." Like, I hope it's not the thing. And he's like, and he puts his hand out, he goes, "Jimmy, read the poem." And I'm like, "Oh, man, there's a bunch of dudes." And I read it, and there's just tears. And that now I had that engraved in a piece of metal, and it's at his house, right? But it's like, that's the thing, like it's the burdens aren't burdens. That's life. That's the good stuff. But it's going to take courage to do that. I didn't want to sit down and write a poem. I mean, I wasn't, you got to get rid of that garbage and say, like, okay, even if you wrote it, it's going to take some courage to say, like, "Hey, brother, like, I don't care what the world thinks. God just told me to read this to you."
Writing's changed your life, man.
Oh, man.
I mean, like, this creative writing of your grandfather when you were a kid that brought him to tears. And then,
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, like, that changed your world, man.
Amen.
Like, he just gave you that, and then now.
And it doesn't come easy to me. That book, the Return of Man book, was incredibly difficult to write, because we talked about that, the Frederick Douglass quote, that just God put that on my life. It is easier to raise strong children than to repair broken men. And I'm like, he didn't say easy, he said easier. Because once men get over here, there's so much shame and guilt and what if and blah, 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 all this other stuff. And now I'm like, I want to pursue the hearts of men. God put it on my heart to pursue the hearts of men and gather them, and then go model strength for kids, like true strength. Like what was Jesus, not Mother Teresa version, like dangerous, like confrontational in a right way, measured, all that stuff. But then once I went to gather men, I realized half of them don't believe they're men. They'd rather believe the enemy, the lies of the enemy, saying, well, I don't even believe I am a man. I'm like, why would you say that? And then, so now it's like, let's get them strong enough to where they're a good option for my son. They're a good option for my daughters, right? I'm not taking train wrecks into my house and saying, hey kids, there's an option for you. Why? Because I'm their dad.
So there's a few layers to this, man. I'm going to take it from that because I like that a lot. The whole idea of you got still, you went out into the wilderness a bunch. And this is something big, actually, that you just tapped into, just going back to that whole focus thing. Because as I was praying on the way over here, not to be selfish with it, but I figure the things that bother us in our own world bother others. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of distraction that goes around, especially with men, especially in this culture, getting off of the mark. And I realize that it's a tactic of our enemy, because if you have men that are focused, I mean, what they can achieve is phenomenal. I mean, you've been in the SEAL teams, you know exactly, right? But now imagine taking that from the extraordinary to the exceptional, and we can get back to that kind of concept. But the exceptional being, love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness. The exceptional as an individual to take on the Holy Spirit and do something powerful. What would the enemy do, or our enemy do to that? It would try to distract us from thinking we're part of the story, which you and I were talking about a little bit. And so I think just to reframe that, so people can grab onto it really quickly is, and which I'm doing for myself to grab onto it is, so there's writing, which you just sat and just wrote some notes. Now that might not resonate with a lot of guys, but for me it does.
It captures it,
Yeah, because it's like, you start writing and like you'd be 3 sentences in and then you start pouring something out, right? And if you haven't, try it. If you haven't done that, try that. Getting out in the wilderness, which is something, it's funny, like even most mornings I've been trying to go for just a walk, pray. Being in Maine, you might get to that point, just giving some advice. Like my mind goes, when I get in the woods, I have to break this. I go into hunting mode because I'm like, oh, there's a sound, there's some sign, there's this, there's this. I have to go, forget if I scare all the deer off, it doesn't matter. Just go for a walk and pray to God. And I do that, and getting in and not having a dog, not having anybody with you, like you just said, puts you to a place like of peace very, very quickly, moving distractions, right? And so I think those are some practical steps. And then the communication, what you said about being a receiver, and then also, what was it, a receiver and a transmitter. So you're fully right. Being able to hear from God, you need to have cleared your mind, give God the glory he deserves, which is, you're talking to the creator of the universe here. Right, like the creator of the universe, and I'm going to have some other thought going on in my mind. I mean, come on. I mean, like the issue isn't with God, it's with us. And so it's setting ourselves in that. So whoever can take from that, I really felt to kind of open that up.
There's a friend of mine who he basically said, I'm going to go down to this stream today. I'm going to bring a chair, and I'm going to spend the next 5 hours, me and you, Lord. And he said, brought the chair, he found this little peaceful spot next to the stream, brought his Bible with him, notepad or whatever, and just sat there. He said it took like 3 or 4 hours for his brain to not stop turning off. It was just, he would get distracted, he'd bring it back. And he said after like 3 or 4 hours, his brain finally stopped. And then he said it felt like God was like, words are jumping off the pages. He was crying, he was laughing. He got so downloaded with so much stuff. It just took him that long for our brain to shut off. And you just, the internet, the reels and all that stuff, like being on the right channel. Right, it's like we go to bed at night, we want God to give us dreams, but we're scrolling at Fox News and looking at all the world and the things and what we want and the distractions. And God's speaking to us, but we don't hear because we're being bombarded daily on our phones and all these things. So
in a minute, create a universe. The one that loves me enough to tell me the truth, the one that wants to help me, and he's blasting it in a minute. Right. I went to another story.
I went
to while I was writing The Return of Man, I went and rented a tiny house in Leadville. Right, so really, really high up in Colorado. And I went out there and I'm like, I'm going to go for a walk. And I didn't plan on climbing a mountain. Mount Elbert, I think is one, maybe I don't know if it's the tallest one or not. Anyways, Mount Elbert in Colorado. I go to Trailhead and I'm like, I'm just going to go for a walk and talk to God. And I put a recorder in my pouch here, and I had it, and I started walking. And I started verbally speaking to God. Now, and see, there's a movie called The Most Reluctant Convert. It's the C.S. Lewis story, right? It's very good. And literally last week I was thinking about this, and I was like, did I get that right? So I found it and watched it again, just that part. C.S. Lewis gets sent off from his dad to go to what they call him the Great Knock, a teacher, to think 2 years. And it was very profound because it's the only thing I remember about that entire movie was this one segment. And they would study the classics, they would study this, they study the Bible, and then he'd go for a walk at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And the narrator says, now walking and talking, not with a buddy, because walking and talking are great things, but not together. Right. And later he says, now reading and eating, those are things that belong together. But what he was saying was when you walk, you're not walking with a buddy to talk, you're walking to walk and listen. You're not talking, right? But then I would say too that Jordan Peterson says, how can you really think without talking?
That's
so
exactly
if you get to talk to people in like the group I was in last night, in the groups I'm in weekly, multiple weekly, you get to actually talk and have your words tested by men who trust you and love you, right? Because they'll check in, they'll just say like, hey brother, do you believe that to be true? That's actually not biblical. And you're like, oh, well, I shouldn't say that. And I should say this, like good equals godly, right equals righteous. And this is one of my favorite questions. Do you believe that to be true? And I hear people say that, like they'll say, I heard a guy in the chiropractor's office and he said, I wasn't even talking to him. I'm talking to the lady that, I frequent, like, hey, how you doing? And she's like, yeah, Jimmy, I'll be right with you. And we said something about some kid thing that happened. And he goes, we should just line them all up and shoot them. I'm like, the kids? Like, or raise them. Or love them. Like, do you believe that to be true? We should shoot the kids? And he goes, well, no. It's actually the parents' fault. But you said shoot the kids. Like, as a grown man, you looked at me and said, we should shoot children. But he wasn't thinking. Well, why weren't you thinking? You know what I mean? Like, you're in charge of words. So anyways, I'm going and I am walking and talking to God. Nobody around, the microphone on, and I start walking up Mount Albert. Not in the morning. Like if you're going to summit, you start in the morning early. Right? I'm just walking, and I got like cowboy boots on, like the work sole ones that still look good, in December by myself, and nobody knows I'm here. And I get to walking, and I'm talking to God, and I'm walking and talking, and I'm just testing out loud, kind of prayer, kind of writing the book, kind of talking to my wife, like all that, just testing things. And then I start having a conversation with God, and I'm talking as if I'm talking to him. Man, I blink and I'm way over the tree line, and it's starting to I'm like, oh no. And I look at my watch and I'm like, I will not make it to the tree line by dark. Man. And in this, like if it was deep snow, you could find the trail, but a lot of it's rock and there is no trail. And I'm like, if I get turned around, I'm out here all night. Yeah. Now this is a problem, right? So I come
I'm really
back.
talking to God.
Yeah, and I mean this is this kind of stuff. It ain't climbing like with ropes, but you're and there's ice and all that. So I start walking back, and now it gets dangerous, right? Now I fell many times to where I once I got to the tree line, I actually made sticks, but I'm eating it. And at the top, I hit up Parker and said, hey, just a text, FYI, this is where I'm at. And if you don't hear from me by whatever, and how embarrassing, I go out there and now a Navy SEAL gets rescued on Mount Albert for being an idiot, right? And I'm even thinking, well, I'm just going to tuck into these trees because it's not blizzard. And I had like a poncho and a jacket or something like that. I could go underneath, trim up a tree, get underneath an aspen and just wait it out. Yeah. Won't be comfortable, but I won't die. But now Parker might launch and now they're looking for me. This is all what's going through my head. That turns in to the best 8-hour conversation I've had with God in my life. And a lot of that ended up in that book, right? Because not the story, but just what I got from that, and honest conversations about my wife, people in my past. You need to make a phone call because you've got an apology and all that stuff. Because I just said, I'm working on the frequency. I'm ready to receive, and God, it just bombarded me. Like it just hit me for 8 straight hours, and I highly recommend it. If I'm in town, I'm watching, like now I'm in, like you said, it's like protector mode to where it's like, what's up with the headlights? Are they going to hit me as the dog on the street? If I'm far enough over, am I going to roll my ankle? It's like town is different, and out there with nobody else, it's just waiting for you, man.
So good. If you're going to get lost in the woods, get lost in summer in Maine.
Yeah.
That's the one little caveat. But if you do, pray and God will speak to you through it. Yeah, I love that. I think the talking to God consistently, what I'm hearing, sort of to reframe it, is that it's taking responsibility for your relationship with God and being honest with yourself. You talked about this in your course, which was say what is true, say true words. And I think if we start doing that, like I try to remind myself of that constantly, which is just like, tell yourself the truth, Blaze. Like stop sugarcoating it and making it sound good, and stop like telling yourself that you did all right when you didn't, when you shot somebody that you shouldn't have. Talk about training, of course, not talking about really. Although I did get close to that one time when somebody had broken my house. But anyway, story for another time. But I think ultimately it's like being truthful with yourself. And then if you're truthful with yourself and you start speaking, now put that in front of God. And that just seemed to change your world, because then God will say to you, hey, are you treating your wife right?
That's right.
Did you just do that right to your kids? Or did you shout at your kids and you shouldn't have done that?
That's exactly. You're not trying to trick the guys, but somehow God showed me this formula where it was like, and I was talking to my buddy Darren a couple weeks ago, and I said, maybe I should go into full-time ministry, which my life is full-time ministry, but meaning, are you called to be a pastor and all that? A traditional pastor, right? Spiritual, mental, physical, then why are you still doing the physical? That's the third thing. So maybe I focus on the spiritual thing and do it that way. And he goes, well, I don't know many people that have started there that have also become this capable. So perhaps the formula is bait dudes in with physical. Then grow them spiritual, mental, because now you make them capable. And this is what we talked about, is I use my hands for this, is like if you've got this 1 to 10, 1 sitting in this chair, 10 the hardest thing you did, like before maybe like SEAL teams. I was like, this is life. This is we call this ordinary, right? What's extraordinary is going from 10 to 20 when you didn't know there was a 20. Like Hell Week, this like Bud's training was like, there's a whole other 10 that most of the world doesn't even know, but now that I know, I can push to there, right? And recently God's like, what about 1 to negative 10? And I'm like, weakness? He's like, that ain't weakness. That's true strength. I'm like, well, what lives over there? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. And I'm like, uh-oh. Yeah, he's like, that's the real deal. Because how many guys are this capable, but you would not call them? Like, I don't trust you with my family. So I'm a protector, but I wouldn't call you, which means you'll protect no one. Why'd Jimmy die? Why didn't he call me? It's like, because he doesn't trust you. Right? With his heart, with his kids, with things that mightn't be embarrassing for a guy. You know, you're sitting there on the edge of the bed with a pistol in your hand. Well, my phone rang. I had to earn that, right? And that's in the book. Actually, we talk about that and saying, hey, those earning those conversations. Because if you're the guy, we have caustic relationships. Meaning, I used to think it was like, you know, that fun ribbon that guys do, and I'm like, I would disagree with that. I would say it's cutting. You're cutting, and you're like, if you can be funny and not have at the expense of others. Like you're funny only when you're ripping. When it's easy to tear down, it's hard to build up. So can you be funny when there's no victim? Because then you're really funny, actually. And people can do it. But they're brilliant when they are, right? But if it's easy to tear a person down and everybody laugh of them, but I wouldn't call you good anymore. You know, locker room talk is not a thing. A locker room is a room in the world. And if you have to look left and right before you talk, that's cowardly, actually. Oh no, get it? Like ha ha ha. And that one guy that's not good at it, ha ha ha, and then he doesn't come around anymore. Why? Because of you. Right? But then we label it and say, well, that's just veteran thing. That's dark humor, because cops and firefighters need to talk like so they can get through the day. No, they don't. Find another way to get through the day. Right? Because what if somebody was standing there and you didn't know they were there and you said something that was in poor taste about their dead husband? You just scooped up the highway. You cut them bad forever. Right, and you did it, not anybody else. Yeah,
you're talking about loving people. Like you're talking about
it. Like how do you
operating in love? Like, you know, and that's it. Like, because living in Maine actually has taught me a lot about just, you know, you see this balance. You've come from I came from living in Los Angeles, where tons of weird and wonderful people, probably more weird than wonderful is my little way of saying it. But you come to Maine and there's this idea of manhood, which is like tough, grit it out, do it. And there are aspects of that in manhood. Don't get me wrong, especially living out here and you got to travel up a mountain, you kind of got to grit it out, right? So you're going to stay out and overnight. But then there's this other layer too, where it's like, no, I'm just going to be tough and have no heart towards people. It's like, nah, that doesn't actually align if you say you're a Christian. If you're actually a follower of Christ, Jesus says to be soft in your heart, right? But then he's also a warrior. So that's what I think you're tapping into there, which is super interesting. Like, you know, actually on that little scale you talk about, it's hitting me now, which is like, you know, Jesus said, it says God is love, right? God is love. But it also says God is a warrior. And his name is Yahweh.
That's right.
Right? So you have this like, there's your exceptional, God is love, and there's your extraordinary, God is a warrior. So you've got this like, this balance of a man, which is the love of God and the warrior of God. And that's pretty sweet.
What I know a lot of people, like when we say ordinary, extraordinary, exceptional.
Yeah.
I know a lot of extraordinary dudes. I don't know a lot of exceptional guys, right? When you talk about the Job 29 man, which I didn't even see until recently. Like I reread Job, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, this is unbelievable. When Job is lamenting about that in Job 29, and this is, I love, because I don't, if I ever say a verse, I really had to work at it because they don't come naturally. Chapter and verse just doesn't, right? But this one's easy. Job 2:9 and Job 29, right? So Job 2:9 and Job 29. Job 29, he's lamenting and talking about the dude he was before everything went sideways. He's like, I was this, I was this, I was this. It's one of the best versions of a man that I can think of. And I don't know many of them. It talks about being walking in the room and people get out of the way. Like the young people just get out of the way. The princes cover their mouths. The older dudes are like, when's he going to talk? And when you talk, they don't say a word, right? That's that Maximus getting up and walking through Spaniard. That's that kind of guy, right? Into the square. And you're like, yeah, but did he really, was that for him so he could build himself up? No. He also made the widow's heart sing. He took up a cause like a lawyer. That's not even my business, but it's wrong. Wow. So I'm going to get involved and free this dude. And you're like, yeah, but was he tough? Then I broke the jaws of the wicked and snatched innocence from its mouth. That's man talk now, right? I sat as like a chief or a general among his troops. All of that is every guy I know wants to be that, right? And that's the guy he was when everything went sideways. And he's like, am I being punished? Whatever, all this other stuff. Fast forward to Job 40-something. He gets restored, has 10 more kids, and has way more than that. Like, how do you get better than Job 29? By clinging to your integrity. So now go back to Job 2:9, the one that we don't like, right? When his wife comes out and says, why don't you just curse God and die? And everybody's like, thanks, babe. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, what kind of woman? And you're like, wait a minute, what happened to her? She also lost all 10 of her kids and everything they owned. She gets to be a little bitter, right? And what she says before that, we forget. She comes out and says, are you still out here? While he's lost his kids, lost everything, now he's scraping pus sores off with a rock right over his body. Pretty bad deal.
Yeah.
And then the words that cut the most, it wasn't the buddies, it wasn't the this, it wasn't that, the wife coming out, the one thing he's got left. And she says, are you still out here clinging to your integrity? Why don't you curse God and die? Right? And if you've ever been there, what he probably was thinking, if not saying, is it's all I got left. So you bet. That's all I'm going to do. Good. Integrity means a steadfast adherence to a strict moral or ethical code. His code was the word of God. And he's like, I will not give that up. And that's the only thing that carried both of them through. They were both restored. Not just him, they both were.
His wife was too.
Yes.
I didn't see that. That's awesome.
And I've heard people say like, no, I think maybe he got a new wife. I'm like, we probably would have heard of that.
Yeah.
Right? So like he had 10 more kids with somebody, right? And all that stuff. And he didn't say a divorce, right? So it's like, okay, sometimes, and we are called as men, you can sacrifice, you could submit, bad word in jiu-jitsu, and then people don't like it. Once you learn that, certain things you don't give on. You need to cling to your integrity, always.
And what's awesome about the book of Job too, like in what you're talking about, it's a journey with people, right? Like he went through this journey of coming to see this. Like in the beginning, he thinks, well, I've done all this right, I've done this. Why is this happening to me? I was right here, I was right there. And then he gets absolutely humbled. Yeah. And so does everyone else around, like humility.
You stand there and take it like a man. You're like,
from God.
Yeah.
Where were you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember seeing you when I made the earth. Like, I don't remember seeing you when I made the ocean. Yeah.
But the interesting thing about that I also noticed, I try to observe the culture and not be in it and like observe it. And I notice in culture, it's like, especially in Christian culture, somebody will say something incorrect, like to their denomination or truly incorrect, in terms of something against the scriptures. And everyone's so quick to jump on them, and they've done it. We've all made these mistakes. We've all done that. But it's like Job gets to show you somebody who has made a ton of mistakes, just like me.
Sure.
Right? Just like all of us. And then the end of it, that God had a plan for it all the way through. I think that's super cool, because even if his wife did say, hey, why don't you just die and curse God? She stuffed up. But then he got restored, and now she gets restored, and through his journey, So it's sort of a model of how we're meant to be with our wives, right? There's this, and if there's a problem with our wife, there's really a problem with us. That's really what it is. It's chaos and order, right? Like we need to be able to get that all together,
She was probably amazing at first.
Oh, 100%.
She's probably way better after, right? Just like Job, right? And
try losing 10
God
kids.
knew all that. And if you're talking like, hey, why did Jesus do this? Why is this about? All the answers. Why did he do that? To show us. Like that's the answer throughout the entire New Testament. Like when you actually see physically Jesus doing stuff, why did he turn, and write in the sand and show us to that secundus optio, that second option, right? Why did he show us to use our intellect and do that? Why? To show us. He could have like smoked everybody. He could have pretended whatever. That's a huge thing. So like going from like, growing up to Buds and SEAL teams and then Blackwater and then GRS and all of this stuff. I say I've been through all this. Not that I've been to the top. I'm not like that. But I've climbed all the way up this ladder. And you know what I found the whole way? Broken men.
Yeah, right.
Broken men. It's like, well, no, I want to be the guy. He doesn't exist.
So in all the SEAL teams, just to make this clear, in the SEAL teams, tons of broken men.
Tons. That's all that's there, right? That's all that's there. And if they are Christian dudes, they're not telling the other dudes, right? Because I remember once I did start searching in the SEAL teams while I was still in the reserves, active reserves going to South America in GRS, this call started coming back. Because the in-between from 10 to probably 30, 31, you talk about chaos. Like, I'm just going to go rule the world. And it's like the whole SEAL team thing got me. I was chasing the wrong thing. I was chasing the tough guys. The guy would punch people out. The guy drinking, doing all of that kind of cool SEAL team show life kind of thing, And I'm like, this can't be it. It just can't be. Like, God was pulling back. He pulled me back into church, right? And at first it was Catholic church, and my buddy took me in and like, why are we doing this? Like, I don't know. Why are we doing this? I don't know. Like, I'm not here for I don't know. I'm looking, right? So I threw the baby out with the bathwater. I guess it's not church. Well, it wasn't that structured Catholic deal. And then somebody else invited me to a community church, and I'm like, and then you go looking at everything that's wrong. Well, everybody looks plastic, and the music's too good, and this and that. And then all of a sudden, like I didn't know this was going to happen, but now what I understand to be a Holy Spirit experience. I'm looking, and this guy's talking. His name's Michael Simone, I think, something like that. He's up there preaching, and it's like everybody else disappeared. And he starts going, so me and my buddy Gary Ellis would sit by the fire when people are passed out everywhere. I mean, it was like this on the water kind of place that he rented and all this stuff. And called a Green 13 because it looked like the bayou. He was from there. And the channel marker 13 was right there. Like the green channel marker was right off the porch, right? And everybody go to the party and bound fire and all that stuff. And many times we'd just sit in there next to this campfire and people were just splayed out everywhere. And I'm like, this can't be it. He's the one that actually took me into the Catholic Church and all that stuff. And it was just like, we had this list of like, well, why is this? And he's like, man, I don't know. Do you ever think of this? And he's like, I think you're talking about God, right? So I had this kind of list in my head, and I go into this church, and this dude like just starts going through the list. Like he didn't know there's a list.
The list you were just talking about.
Like, yeah, in my head, I'm like, I've got some serious questions here. Like I tell people, I'm the guy that's got to touch the stove. And it's hot, and then I touch it with the other hand, and then I actually touch it with my face, right? It's like, oh, fine. And then I have all these things where I'm like, I can't disprove any of what he's saying. Like if I'd have known that, I wouldn't have. If I'd have known that, and then I'm like, so then I come back next Sunday and the next Sunday and then, re-meet my wife.
This is while you're in the SEAL team?
This is while I'm in the backside of the SEAL team, still active reserve, but I'm actually working for the agency GRS. And re-meet my wife that I knew back in Kansas City, went back for my grandfather, Wayne's 80th birthday, and ran back into her. So we started a long-distance relationship. She comes in, we get married, have a kid. Now I really need to know this stuff. Like I need to know. So from that experience, that leads me to Liberty University Online. So you're doing their online program. And I'm studying like the Old Testament, like while I'm in Lebanon for GRS. Like I'm sitting there, people, that joke of like, oh, I guess you were just over reading the Bible. Yeah, I actually was. Guys are drinking and partying and doing all this stuff. Like while you're protecting people, you're drunk. Explain that to me.
Yeah, right.
Like if an attack happens at 2 a.m. and you're drunk, like I need to be 100% when I pop out of that bed. Yeah, there's a reason you sleep next to your gun, right? And you're under the influence. That's not okay with me, right? But you do whatever you want. I'm not in charge of you, I'm in charge of me. So I'm sitting there with my laptop. And even you'd get looks and sneers and jokes because they know that I've got my Bible open. And I'm sitting there writing a paper or listening to a professor in the chow hall where nobody is, but they'd walk by and they're like, yeah, Jimmy's in there doing his Bible thumping stuff. I'm like, man, I'm just looking for the truth. That's it.
Wow. So you're in there, you're deployed, you're working for the CIA, you're doing this sort of this work, but while everybody's out doing their thing, you're just trying to find out where this push is coming from inside.
That's
you.
Right. And leads me, like we alluded to this on break, was like the at one point I'm on a move with it's got to be true. It's got to make sense at some point. You're out there with a case officer, and she's attractive, and she's out there, and you're there to keep her alive. Like whatever she's doing, kind of not your business. You get to know a lot, and you got a TS.
This is another agent that you're watching.
This is an agent,
yeah.
And I'm there with her as her guard. But there's other, like you're in a country by yourself, and they're 20 minutes away, and you got guns and all that stuff. So there's an emergency. They're not going to be here for a long time, right? And then they come out to be kind, and they give you tea, and you shukran, and then they leave, and I just dump it in the plant. She's like, you don't like tea? And I'm like, Well, it dawns on me, I'm the only person here for 15, 20 minutes. That's if they ever come, because they get a call. And if I wanted you, I'd poison me. And she was like, huh. But then she was like, well, everybody else drinks. I'm like, not everybody else. Everybody else drinks at night. I'm not everybody else. I'm serious about this stuff. Right? And there wasn't just me. There was other people. But it was very loose. Everything becomes a job. But what are we doing here?
So you feel that's awesome. So it's like an inkling of the Holy Spirit at that time, like pour out the tea.
Yeah.
So you're in a situation, just to frame it, because I want to just make sure everybody understands it really clearly, so you're in a situation, you're a bodyguard for this CIA agent, basically female. She's out there, she's doing some research or whatever she's doing, and you're effectively assigned to her. You're following her around. You sit at a table somewhere. Tea gets poured for everybody. She's drinking the tea.
Yeah.
You just had this inkling, throw the tea out.
Yeah, we're actually outside,
Yeah.
and they're going into this meeting room and all that stuff, and you give them their privacy because they're talking, they're doing their deal and all that stuff. They're just trying to figure out what's true about, are you planning to blow us up or whatever.
Yeah.
And she might, be posturing as a oil and gas executive. She might be a whatever. She might be whatever. Sometimes they just know that, hey, we're agents. We're going to pay you money and you're going to find us some Stinger missiles or whatever. Right. And that part of it, you hear, you're authorized to do all that. And I've told people I don't agree with a lot of what the CIA might be doing. I don't know the whole story. And I found honor, and I'm here to keep you alive. You shouldn't be brutally murdered, and that's my commitment. Yeah. Right? But some people take it more seriously than that. Like, would you die for me? My answer is yes. I'm going to show you with everything that I do that the answer is yes. Because I got to earn your trust, right? So that was just a big deal, and some people took it seriously, some people didn't.
Wow. So go ahead.
When did you accept Christ? Was it? Did you have like a specific moment or? 10
years old. I Antioch Bible Baptist in Kansas City, Missouri, walked down the aisle and did the thing. And for a while, I thought that probably wasn't real because I was a kid and I didn't know what I was doing. Now that I know more, I believe it was absolutely real. And my grandmother's prayer from that moment on protected me. Like there's, as a vet, you're always wondering, like, why am I still here? Why are other people, like, I believe it was my grandmother's prayers that God had a plan for me and all that. Something as easy as getting moved here or here. Benghazi, 13 hours, right? I was the team lead in Benghazi, Libya 3 weeks prior to the attack, right? So the roof of the building that I'm in as the boss, just even for an interim thing, so I was a direct hire contractor for the agency. It wasn't a company like Blackwater or anything like that. It was me. Like, it was funny too. I'm living in Helena, Montana at the time, and they're like, hey, like, it kind of everything, keep it under, it's kind of secret. I'm like, why do my checks show up at my house that say Central Intelligence? Like the Central Intelligence, like the mailman looks at me weird. Like, are we both doing our part here? It's just kind of funny. And like the
keep it quiet. It's a check.
Hey, mum's the word. I'm like, well, what is this about? But anyways, we're I totally lost track of what I was talking about.
Benghazi.
So I'm in Benghazi, and this is totally personal, but I don't mind it because it's part of my testimony, right? So while I was out there, I deployed for a year. That means 2 months on, 2 months off to Libya, back and forth, right? The attack happened between the second and third. But my wife, very early in pregnancy, had a miscarriage, right? You get caught in trap of, I need this big check to cover all the time you don't get paid, and then another big check because I was a direct hire contractor. I wasn't staff, so it's not like the 1st and the 15th I got a check in benefits. On the contract side, especially for the specialized guys, we like the freedom of don't call me for 2 months. Yeah. I like working hard and getting a big fat check, but then it's got to cover everything, right? So you get stuck in that, and we were kind of stuck in that. And it was early on, and she had helped some ladies. It's more common, I think, than a lot of people think. But she had kind of loved on people during that time, and now they were with her. And she told me, and I was like, okay, I'll come home. She's like, don't come home. Like, we need the money, kind of thing. One of the regrets of my life was not coming home. Like, you don't listen to that stuff. You just come. Just come. And I didn't. And, I'm not proud of that. It was just like, okay, I'll stay here, make the money, do all that stuff. And then I came, when that attack happened, they asked me, can you stay? And I'm like, I must go home. Like, I've made this mistake and I must go home. And we knew that the ambassador, we didn't know that it wasn't like a heightened deal, but we knew the ambassador was coming to Benghazi from Tripoli. And there's like, Hefe, can you stay? I'm like, I can't. And it's the first time in my life, I'll be the first guy there, the last guy to leave, and I'll be focused while I'm there, right? It's like, I'm not good at a lot, I'm very good at this job, right? Because I care. If you don't love people, don't do the job, by the way. Like, if you're doing it because look at me, I'm GRS, or look at me, I'm a SEAL team, or look at me, whatever, please don't do that job. Like, if you care about people, like enough to drag them out of there and maybe die yourself, then please show up. But that was, So when I left, it was a hard decision. And I say that baby that I will meet someday in heaven probably saved my life. Right? It's like, and you guys will probably understand this. Part of me desperately wanted to be there, right? And the other part is very honored to be married to Rachel and raise Rebecca, Sarah, Christian, and Eden, right? So you're kind of torn, and I don't carry it. It's not heavy like it used to be, but I truly believe, and just it doesn't matter. But when I think about it, there was a guy, and this is something that I think is important, and I haven't heard said. 13 Hours came out as a book and a movie and all that stuff. But it's not exactly right. There was another guy there that they pulled out. And I'm not talking about the Jack Silva guy, because that's a good friend of mine from SEAL Team 8. Know who that guy is. I'm talking about there was a whole other individual there that they simply removed like he wasn't there, and it was the team lead. So when I left, I turned over with another human being. That person was the guy in charge of GRS. That's the guy that could have got them going quicker, but didn't, right? So they stayed so long that Roan said, I'm going. Like, I am going, and I'm going, you're invited. And if nobody comes, I must, because these are Americans. And the team said, we're going with Roan, right? So there's another dude that in charge of Roan. Roan was the assistant team lead. There was another team lead. You only hear it once mentioned in the book, because I caught that little flaw. They said in the book, so I'm not giving anything up, they said, Chris! And the team lead goes, yeah. And he goes, not you. I'm yelling for the ambassador, also named Chris. That's the only time you'll see it. But there was another dude there. But he's still an agent, so they pulled him out of the book and movie. Right? So I think it's a better story in that, as I understand it, Roan was like, I'm about to defy orders and I don't care. You can fire me or I quit, but I must go. Right? That's feed the front. When we talked about, it's like feed the rear is let's make excuses why we're not going. Feed the front is I know that there's a solution and I'll be the first one to step. And that's a good story. It's actually the story of all of this, of self-sacrifice, not long-term, short-term gratification. It's long-term. Like, I won't live with myself if I don't go now. Right. And even that was too late, right? For most of them. And I just believe, and I can just believe this in my head, even if it's just to make me feel better, when I'm there, I'm locked on, and I choose to believe I would have got him going quicker. Right? When I had that seat, it would have been like, get in. Because I'd already checked that chief of base several times. I wrote reports. I was like, you need to do this right. Wow. You used to teach this and you know it, like, boss. Like I'm already putting you in my report. You need to stop. And there was a lot of friction and a lot of things that I tried to make them better and he wouldn't allow. A lot of things he did allow. I actually got a call afterwards and it's like, is it true that you held a private training for, that you wanted to train the State Department guys? Correct. Is it true that they wouldn't let you? Yes. Is it true that you actually held a base clearing exercise with your guys and they took notes on tablets? That's correct. Will you come testify? Absolutely. It's the truth. And that's the last call I ever got. It's not okay.
Man, so you're at the forefront of these stories here. This story, in that time, your wife had gone through this miscarriage, and you went home.
Yeah.
And wow.
And I get a text on, not advanced phones then. It just simply said, "Have you seen the news?" Like, I was back in Tripoli for about a week. I went back to D.C., debriefed, got checked back into the agency, all that kind of stuff, and then went home. And I was in Castle Rock, Colorado for about a week. And then my phone goes off. So there's about 3 weeks total, just under 3 weeks. Phone goes off, says, have you seen the news? And I'm heading to Denver to do a business meeting to learn how to be a businessman, whatever it was. And I'm going through and I'm looking, I'm like, what is this? So I pull over, check it out, and I see American ambassador, lost, fire, where I just was. So I call back to Langley. What do you guys need? They're like, we need you back right now. So I tell my wife, I'm like, hey, I got to go back. And she's like, you just got home. Now we got kids. And she's like, you've been gone 2 months and you just got home. I was like, I got to go back. The rotation, some guys landed there quicker, so they bumped me, not to go immediately back, but directly back. And then was the first team back to Benghazi. So the guys were in Tripoli because it was all burned out in Benghazi. So went back, snuck back into Benghazi, recovered some vehicles, hosted some meetings just for a day trip, and then flew back out.
I've got a question. Whatever you're comfortable with, but out of your journey in military, your stories from SEALs, from the CIA, from everything you've done, what is the most interesting story to you in whether it warfare, deployment, whatever it is, the one that kind of you see as one of the most interesting stories for us and for others to hear and to take something from?
We already covered the kind of coming home when I was called to come home for my family, and that would be a big one. But then I would say the other one is the in my first, let me see, was that my first platoon? My first platoon, there was a helicopter crash, And that's the one I've probably spent the most time thinking of, right? So people are, I've got buddies that are decorated combat vets with all these medals, and I hear people saying the word hero a lot. And this one, I've had a lifetime to kind of dissect this, right? Is that there's the first helicopter landed. We were training. It was at Fallon? I think Fallon, Nevada. And insert extracts. So we're working with the helicopter crew we're going to deploy with. They come in, set down, we jump out, we perimeter up, they take off, we call them back in. I'm the communicator, so I've got a job to go, but you lay in a perimeter till they leave and you patrol out, and that's what we think we're doing. And I've been in a helicopter. Some of the guys, it was their first time ever. And we're Dash 1, Dash 2's coming in. We're supposed to land, one behind the other. And right when we jump out and lay in a perimeter. And immediately my LPO's grabbing me going, let's go! Because I see the other helicopter. I'm like, where are they going? Because we landed and they kept going. And I'm just trying to do the right thing as a new guy, right? And he's yanking on me. I'm like, did I miss something in the brief? So I jump up and start running after him. And as we crest the mountain, I see the other helicopter's on its side and it's on fire.
Whoa.
And I'm like, wow. Like, it takes a second to be like, this is bad. And now we're live fire, we're all loaded up. So I strip off my backpack, my gun, everything, and throw everything into a pile. And I just take off and kind of beat everybody. Like, I just take off. On the way down, the co-pilot is coming up. His eyes are this big and he's just running off to Las Vegas. I don't even know where he's going, but he's just heading out. And as I'm looking down, I'm running, I'm seeing guns come out, M60s come out, M16s flying out, bags coming out and all that. And people are spilling out, so the aircrew makes it out. And I see, I don't see a couple of my guys. So a helicopter looks incredibly big when it's on its side. Like, you just you're used to seeing this, you're not used to seeing this. And it's like in a gully, and I jump up and grab, they're like, get away from it, it's gonna blow. But that whole thing, you're like, I need to see my guys. Like, I'm not seeing guys. And I'm the new guy. And I jump up and grab a wheel, kick my legs over, and then get up top, and I look down to what seems huge, and two of our guys are down there, Chris and Chad, and there's a guy in there, the crewman is stuck, like his head's underneath the helicopter, right? It's like pinned, but he's got a pulse, so they're working. They're both the medics, stayed to save a guy they didn't know. And after years, I'm like, what must it have been for him and him and him and him? I've just played all these scenes in my head, and I'm looking in and they won't leave. And I'm like, it's on fire. And they're like, I know, but he's stuck. And I'm like, what can I do to help him? There's no room. You see the guy's body and all this stuff. And I'm like, So I jump back down. They're like, I'm like, they're in there. Tell them to get out. They won't. And I'm coming around and they're like, we need a fire extinguisher to put it out to kind of buy him time. So I run back to the helicopter, which isn't close, like full sprint, run back. And I'm like, fire extinguisher. They throw it. I run back and then I'm kind of smoked. So I throw it to a guy. He tries to put it out. And, before I run, I'm sorry, I go around to the front and the pilot's still in there. And we had just done medical training. I'm a huge advocate of doing your emergency medical stuff first, like buddy carries and doing all that stuff. And they call it a blouse, but your BD top. I pulled that off, throw it on the ground because his back was broken. We open the door, get him out, throw him on my blouse, roll the sides, pick him up, check his head and just get him far enough away. Then I run up and grab a fire extinguisher, come back, and they start blasting it and trying to put that out, but it's not working, right? It's fuel, magnesium, all this stuff is burning. And those guys haven't come out yet. So I go underneath and start digging uphill on an unstable helicopter, and we're trying to get them out. And I go, and it's crazy how, like, when I've likened it to this. Why wouldn't we leave? Because when you look over, everybody that knows him and his kids are not near. They're over yelling, it's going to blow, leave them. And we're like, doesn't seem right. Yeah. But once a SEAL commits to something, I think a couple reasons. One, we never had helicopter crash training, but we've had reality-based scenario training to where it's like, figure it out, that ingenuity, that kind of one World War II. It's like, hey, man, I know we don't have this stuff. Figure it out. And once a guy commits, well, now in the inside, Jimmy saw that, and that was enough to say, you're not going to work alone. So now I go under it. And now guys are like, well, Jimmy's going, so I'm going under with him. And I'm like, give me something to dig with. And it's kind of a funny moment in chaos when you look out and you're like, give me something. I'm in a hole that I can barely fit in and I'm digging. I still have the gloves that I burned up, the fingers, because I was digging like an animal trying to get to these guys. And then my buddy, his name's Jason Henderson. We called him Hendo because he's like Amish off Braveheart, the big, strong, slam people in the face. That's the kind of guy I kind of aspired to be until I figured out that's not the way to go, right? Just the drinking and the fighting and just all that goes with that. And he literally rips a section of the helicopter off. Like, there's the fiberglass door. He rips off a panel that's this big. He goes, will this work? And we just start laughing. Like
In the middle of it all.
Like, no, man, I can't. Give me something to dig with. And he's like, well, like, I'm trying. Like, it was just such an honest thing. And that humor kind of lightened it up a bit. We know there's a guy. We know we got to get to him, whatever. And then, the ARC hands me a blade, a cold steel blade. And I get in there, and I'm chunking through rock and just trying to do something. And we actually made some progress to get to him, and smoke's billowing out and all this other stuff. And I don't even know. It was something that was just very, very, like, for a new guy seeking, I wouldn't pick that kind of danger.
Yeah.
We ended up losing that guy, meaning that we couldn't get him free. And then the flames got to where they literally drug us out of there. We coughed and hacked for weeks because we breathed that smoke and all that other stuff. But he was so wedged in there. Finally got an officer to climb in there and just there was no pulse, right? And then you've got the rest of your life to say, what more could we have done, right? But the thing that taught me at a young age was that camaraderie. We hadn't deployed yet, and everything was real. Like, these guys will frickin' die for me, and vice versa. And it might not be blaze of glory, all that kind of stuff, but man, being down in there is like, you look over and you see a guy like, man, our guys are in there, so the quicker we do this, the quicker we go. Now, if it tilts in your trap, nobody wants to burn to death. While people are yelling, it's going to blow, you're like, man, that ain't helping. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was just the first real thing where I'm like, man, we're in, and I trust these guys, and it was fantastic. And then that word hero again, I prayed a lot about that. I believe it's in the book, was talking about, I have people telling me who my heroes are, and the guys you see on some of these podcasts and all that, and I personally know them. So I'm like, no, they're not, because I know the dude.
Yeah.
And he did his job on a certain day, and I'll maybe buy him a beer and hear the story, and that's about as far as that goes. But he's not a hero because the way he lives his life, right? I know his situation. I know his family life. I know his kids. You don't tell me who my heroes are. Then that line of thinking leads you to, well, then what is a hero? And where I landed in prayer was somebody who's significantly changed or saved my life, right? And on that moment, you realize your wife's your hero. Your kids are your hero. And people are like, my kid's my hero, like in a weird, softened kind of way. I'm like, no, I think my unborn kids saved my life. I believe it in my heart. I'm a better man. I'm a different man because because my daughter was born, my son and my other daughter, and I always want to be better for them. Like this week, we had a guy who's like, something happened. I had kids. I need to be better. I go, it's time to define what better means. And he's in. And they've all got my number. But that kind of thing, and when hero only means, so back to what you're talking about is what that print the legend. The first chapter of my book is called Print the Legend because it means, do you want the truth or do you want the legend? And people are like, I want the legend. I'm like, careful, because what you just did there, it's from a movie called Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. It's a John Wayne movie. You learn throughout the movie that the guy you think's the hero is not the hero.
Interesting.
And you go all the way back, and the reporters are there, and they're doing an interview, and they realize, you mean the farmer we just buried's the hero that had died with nothing? Yeah. And he crumbles it up and throws it in the fire, and he goes, you're not going to print the story? This the guy who he think's a hero, noble guy, he's going to be the next vice president of the United States, but he just reveals, like, that's the guy. And he's like, he goes, what are you doing? He goes, this is the West, sir. When the truth becomes legend, print the legend. That sums it up. Like the SEAL teams, police, spec ops, whatever. It's like, do you want the truth? The truth is, got guys pursuing tough guy, living with guilt the rest of their life or blowing their head off. Is that the one you want, or do you want the legend? Cool. Then let's call it SEAL teams and put it on tape. Let's call it terminalist. Like whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But if you really want the truth, you're going to open that door, and then you're going to have to do something about it, right? That's why I started the book with it. So I was like, we're done. We're done with that, right? There's awesome things that are cool enough on their face. You don't need to embellish all the other garbage, because I've already been there and seen that that's not the case.
Yeah, it's powerful, man. It's powerful that, the story out of all of the stories, and you're a great storyteller, to be able to hone in on the one that's in training and this moment before you even deployed. And you said that was before you were even your first deployment.
Right.
A helicopter crash, guys dying, things burning, and seeing that team come together, that's what's left you the most out of all of it. That's powerful. Yeah,
because we picture these glorious battles, and to be honest, I've never been in this glorious battle like in Black Hawk Down. There's only there's handpicks of those in these combat situations. And what is a hero? I don't believe I'm a hero. I did my job just like a lot of us did. I have a medal that says I'm a hero for saving a life that day, a couple lives, right? And so do some other guys. But to me, that one's like, we were all doing this thing, 4 of us, got medals. Not a hero for that. I'm a hero for, like, if my son said, you're my hero, I'll take that. And it's enough.
Super.
If my girls, hey, you're my hero, I'm like, that means more to me than somebody saying, because I know other guys that have medals above that, but I know the real story. And I'm like,
what's the scripture? No greater love than to lay your life down
for a friend.
Yeah. And is that my pulse life, or is that the life that I've been accustomed to, right, for my wife? So it's a continuous struggle because of the way that we both choose to live in our younger years. It's like, are you willing to lay down the thing that you're pursuing for the other half of you? That's like, and that's the big boy talk. Like, well, even God's blessed me with this thing. I believe it'll be in the next book that I read. Like, here I am talking about writing, and now God's calling me to write another book. It's if I said, and you heard this last week, everybody deserves, talking about bullets, a half-second assessment.
Yeah.
It's called Target ID, right? Yeah. And guys are like, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm like, I'm not talking about your bullets. I'm talking about your words.
Yeah.
Right? How many times you snap your wife's head off, and I'm like, is she your enemy? And I got this vision. It was like Jimmy, this is what I want from you. And I know it's from God. I believe it to be from God because I wouldn't pick it. Can you love while being disrespected? And I'm like, I pick another one. He's like, that's the one. Can you love while actively being disrespected?
That's really
what is your, man. So this vision of my wife dealing with whatever people deal with, firing arrows in every direction to try to protect those kids because she's an amazing mother and woman, right? And some of those hit me. Am I going to fire back, right? And God's like, those arrows can't kill you, by the way. So when she shoots, will you shoot back? And I'm like, oh no, stupid truth.
We just did a Bible study on love and respect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good book.
You saw that.
That's the title of the book, Love and Respect's awesome. Actually, I'm just going to reframe that again. It's probably not reframe it, just say it again, which is, it bears repeating, which is, I definitely fall into that trap. My wife, ask my wife all the good things about me. She'll tell you a bunch of great things about me. Ask her to tell me the bad things. She can tell you a bunch of those too. But I think it's exactly that. At times that she'll say something cutting, and I'll be like, boom, 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 boom. I'll say something back, and I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Come on. It really is that. If you're able to love under attack, love under, being disrespected, truly, and what that comes to is like, it's hanging yourself on the cross. I mean, it's not to try to make yourself bigger than you really are. I mean, but Jesus says, die to the flesh daily, right?
Yeah.
Paul said that.
Take every thought captive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take every thought.
It's like, does it click and you're like, you're getting ready to speak, but you take that captive and then you come across knowing that the enemy's trying to get you to respond and come across.
And we love, it's great. I mean, we love our wives, and so we want their respect, we want their love, we want their admiration. But really, where is our identity lying? Like, is it in Christ and who He said we are? Is it in the truth of God? And then if it is, then when we're hit with something, I mean, we love back. Yeah, that's powerful, man. I think.
Well, and the world is fine with that message of like, submit to your wife, submit to your wife, submit to your wife. But I think it does potentially hurt God when He's like, I didn't say everything. Like, I was like, fine, she's in charge. He's like, son, that's not what I meant.
No.
Like that thing is a big deal where now everybody's kind of becoming these doormats in the name of Jesus. And Jesus is like, that's never what I told you. That's never what I told you.
That's so true. And the thing is, I mean, I won't go into it fully now, but there was that little thing that I showed you before where I had this situation where I sound like I'm trying to be tough. I'm not. I had to kick somebody a little while back. I had to kick him, and the guys, I had to kick them, and it was a justified kick for something that was going on. And I remember thinking back, like, feeling bad about it. And I told you this story. There's no kidding. I was like praying about it. I was like, God, should have I kicked this guy? I mean, long story short, somebody broke into my house and I gave him a kick in the legs, and it caught one guy, and then the other guy ended up getting away, which I'm kind of glad the guy I kicked. Anyway, point is, I was feeling bad about it, and a bunch of my buddies were like, dude, what are you feeling bad about, man? The guy just broke into your house. I'm like, yeah. But then I really, like, I know it sounds stupid to saying this to a Navy SEAL, like in a war vets, and I'm like, I kicked a guy, and they're like, yeah, but in it, I wrestled with it. I was like, am I being a Christian in doing that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, should I turn the other cheek? But I literally prayed about it, and I opened the scriptures, and it said in Proverbs, the blows on a fool cleanse away evil. And it's like, he needed a good kick or a good punch in the head or a good whatever it was. And sometimes it's just standing up and being like, okay, this has to happen in this order, in this way, and it ends with me or it starts with me or whatever it is. And I think what you're tapping back into when you talk about leading is so much of that in Christian church culture where it's like, oh, I'm going to be a man. I'm going to be like really submissive and passive and meek.
Yeah.
When it's not backed, it's like the meekness you talked about the other day that Jordan Peterson talked about. It's like you have the ability to do something, but yet you hold it. And you hold it so that, but knowing you can use it, you can go out and draw your sword and hack someone down. But at the same time, it's like, well, hang on. The meekness is the ability to hold it back, the self-control, the spirit of peace that's there, and waiting and having grace and mercy. And then, but at the other end, then there's a moment where you got to pull that. Like there's another scripture that says, "I gave these guys a sword for a reason."
There's a reason you got it.
To impart my wrath. That's literally scripture.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
the disciples to sell their cloak and buy a sword.
Yeah.
And I love how Jordan Peterson, he added that. He said, those who have swords and know how to use them and choose to keep them sheathed shall inherit the earth. And you're like, that is so correct, because it's not a virtue to, I just turn the other cheek and you get slapped. And I just turn the other cheek. It's like, brother, that's all you have. You can't fight. That's not a virtue.
Yeah.
You're just weak.
Yeah.
But if somebody could like totally just come over and stomp a mud hole in you and they don't, then that was a decision they made. Yeah. They're like, I'm going to let you have one, but not two. You know, that kind of thing. You're like, oh, wow.
We have some Mennonite friends that do our meat processing, and lovely people. They love the Lord, but very legalistic. And me and Blaze got invited to their church and dinner with the family, and we started getting these like little debates, like loving debates. But basically, he was saying that if you're in the military, you can't be a Christian. If you're in law enforcement, you can't be a Christian. I'm like, well, why is that? He said, well, Jesus says to love your enemies. And we were telling him, like, Mark, if we gave up our military and gave our guns away, I said, your kids you wouldn't be able to go to church anymore. We'd be speaking another language.
Yeah.
And I was like, loving your enemy is, if you have to kill somebody, you're basically saying, Lord, have mercy on his soul. Like he didn't know you. Like you're if you have to do that, right? You're not doing it for pride or whatever. It's like, or you capture somebody, you're going to love on that guy, feed him and give him water and stuff like that. But they think that if you're in the military, if you have to do that, it's completely non-Christians.
Yeah. If it wasn't the case, as you just said, if it's interesting, isn't it? Like America having this fortress that we've got in a sense, and it's all based around the men that protect it, and then thinking under that same fortress being like, oh, we don't need the fortress. Yeah. It's like, no, you kind of do, and it's been the like the last line of defense. And these are all, I mean, all the men that have stood on that and founded this country, and even I'm seeing it now, my brothers in Christ, like you guys have all gone through this like battles, warfare. You've gone through this physical battle, and now you're actually like, you've all shifted to a spiritual battle, but still understanding the physical very heavily. Like it goes back to the beginning of the conversation we had, where it was like it starts in the spiritual and then it manifests in the physical. And so you've now got that order right. Super interesting, and it's like to think that you could then say we don't need the physical. It's just like, it doesn't make any
sense.
sense.
It's different if you're out preaching the gospel,
that makes sense.
Some guy comes up to you and spits in your face, you're not going to curb stomp him.
Right.
It's like, there's a different time and place for certain things.
Right. And that I think that's huge, to be able to do it, then not, and then show people like I'm gonna show you this, and people that know you, because So this really happened in a parking lot one time. I saw a guy grab a girl. She screamed, and he grabbed her, and it looked like they knew each other.
Sorry, say it one more time. You were in a parking lot?
In a parking lot, and I just had a meeting, and I hear this woman scream, and I look over, and this guy is not letting her leave. Like she'd have to run him over because he's blocking the car. She gets out, and through the tent in the side, he looks left and right and chases her. So I start recording, but he grabs her, and he's not hurting her. He just won't let her go. So it looks like more of a domestic kind of thing. So, my cop buddies are like, record it so there's facts. Start recording. Then he sees me recording, and here he comes. I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're doing this, right? I'm in the V of my truck, and I'm recording. He's like, drop it. And he runs at me. I get off to the side, and this is like, as a younger dude, it's like, okay, I'm kind of like, even as an older dude, I'm like, I'm kind of bored. I haven't done this in a while. I kind of want this to happen because it's like, well, it's Tuesday. Why not? Right? It's like, it's like, it's been too long, but it's not right, And I jokingly say, if you're in my era, that what was it? RoboCop or Terminator, the dashboard comes up on things, but none of them are good. You're like, come on, as a young man, you're just like, curb stomp, shoot, do whatever. You're like, where are the other ones, you know? So the first time I'm like, I just didn't get a confirmation to do anything. You know, leg comes back, leg comes forward, lean forward, phone comes up, elbows come down. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to blast my phone off this dude's head. If he goes right through here, and then I'm going to hit him about 5 more times. And in all reality, then I'm going to secure my pistol because I don't want it all when the cops come.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to secure this guy, call 911, and they're going to come and do whatever, right? So I'm thinking about all this, and I kind of draw a line with my mind. This is all on video, by the way. It's on YouTube somewhere, Facebook.
I'll get that up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And he stops, and he just freezes. And I'm like, what do I say? And I didn't get confirmation to say anything, so I said nothing. And he just freezes, and he looks me up and down, and he goes, okay. How about I call the police for invasion of privacy?
Bro, I've seen this video.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, I've seen this video. This is awesome. That was you.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I have seen
and
this video.
And he goes, I'm going to call the police. I go, do it.
Yeah.
And he walks away, and then I'm like, that worked. And he takes off running firm. But now I'm like worried, is he going to go? So I chase him, and I run, and I'm just kind of, I'm not chasing fast, but I record it. And then then he whispers something to her, and she goes, sir, thank you for doing this. I appreciate this, whatever. I'm like, and I'm like, what do I say? Well, no confirmation. So I said nothing. And I just walk with him. And now he starts getting nervous, and he goes, we haven't really done anything. I said, good. And then he gets in the car, and he goes, have a nice day. I go, you too. And they just drive away, right? So I'm like, do it. Good, you too. That's all I said, and it's over, and I get to go sleep in my bed tonight, not jail. Wow. Man, who knew? I wish I knew this stuff when I was 20, right? I was like, I thought that was the thing, right? So to watch all this happen, and then I get my truck, and I think about this for a second, and I felt good because I feel myself maturing. Yeah. Like maybe I'm a grown-up now, you know what I mean? And this isn't that long ago. And I'm sitting there, and when I texted, I'm glad I texted this. It was like, and I posted on a couple different things, but I said, so this just happened, after lunch. And I said, if this was my daughter, I would want somebody to stand. And if it was my son, I would want somebody mature enough to not escalate it. Because I don't know what's going on with them. And I said, please pray for this couple. Yeah. And I'd shown that video a couple times. I don't do it anymore, but I used to. And somebody goes, that's my neighbors. I'm like, really? Like they always, I'm like, oh my so it's just their reality just spilled out, right? And I don't know, like whatever. But it was kind of like, that I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be on the other side of it and go overreact, right? I don't want to underreact and feel like a coward the rest of my life. I don't want to smoke check the guy for doing something. Because again, that target ID, what would happen if I didn't pull the trigger? Yeah. Well, the answer is nothing. So don't shoot the dude. Yeah. And I say this to people that are more in the training because they know me better. You should learn how to shoot people, then don't. You should learn how to choke people out, then don't. Yeah. You should learn how to strike and kick people, then don't, right? Because now all of a sudden there's that capability, right? And then choose not to do it. So again, with those filters of having like a, what do you do to guard you and then to guard your words, Philippians 4:8, I call that the filter. It's like, don't absorb things that aren't true, noble, right, and pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, or praiseworthy. And even if they do make it in, you got one more chance before you harm people with the word of God. Is it true, noble, right, and pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, praiseworthy? That filter that goes out. And if it isn't that, why are you saying it, right? And that's hard. Because that is self-control. And guys don't like the S word, self-control, right?
I'm going to add something to that because when you're watching that video, because of the meekness thing, you, as this guy's approaching, you hear Jimmy exhale. He's sheathing the sword instead of reacting. And that's just, when I watch that, it's like, oh my word. He just showed the capability, but he sheathed it.
If you can't hear what's being said off of camera, it's Nick Higgins. He's helping us out today. But is that, Jimmy on camera just exhales before this encounter, sort of just like sheathing the sword, just taking a chill piece. It's so funny. When I saw that video, it gives a very different context that the person behind the camera is you as a Navy SEAL. And it just so many layers to that. Because I think, you watch videos that are somewhat similar to that. And you see everybody in the comments like, dude, I would have knocked that guy out. It's like, yeah, okay.
No, you wouldn't. I know you. You know what I mean? And you can hear like my body starts changing. My heart rate comes up, and then I've had this drainage thing sometimes where allergies. You see me go like my body's starting to change gears. And I'm like, don't do that. Be ready, right? So don't be. And we teach that de-escalation class.
Yeah.
The opposite of that, most of these classes are like a butterfly factory. Well, if you're nicer, people will be nicer. No, they won't.
Totally, yeah.
Sometimes that's not the deal.
Yeah.
So they teach you these classes to be nicer, kinder, gentle, and we always say, no, anybody could go combative at any time. You should have your feet right. You mask your face, make it look nicer, get your hands up. But really what you're saying is, man, I got to protect my center line, and I might blast right through yours. That's the deal, right? And it's felt. Like if I lean forward and say, I need you to back up, it feels different than I lean back and I go, can you please back up, right? It's just, it is that body posture. It's the body language. It's tone. It's the words you're saying, and people think it's just words. It's like, no, not at all.
So good.
Yeah, I gotta watch that video.
Yeah. I want to rewatch it too. So shifting gears just a minute. This has been awesome. There's so many layers to this. And I think I'm taking a lot from it. I'm just reflecting and learning, I think, as I'm hearing all this, and it's making me want to be a better husband, better father. I think we all should, right? Yeah. Constantly be trying to do that. So thank you.
Thank you. No, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, I really, really love this. Talk to me about, you told me the other day you're working on a kid's book.
Yes.
Can we talk about that for a sec?
Man, I'm more excited for this book than the other one because, I didn't think of this when I started writing it. It was, once you see a problem, if you're a fixer, most men are fixers, we've done it wrong. We've tried to fix our wife like it's our job, not Jesus', right? But yeah, it's not about the nail. I love that video because it's just so, everybody laughs so hard, so true, right? And it's this, that's between her and God. Can you be the man strong enough to be paired with his daughter that might have some stuff going on, right? It's like that thing. We all have our stuff, made similar decisions. Women carry that differently. Can you be the guy to go into that pit with her and walk out side by side, not try to drag her out? Like God's like, hey.
So good, man.
It's so good. And that's what I'm really being challenged with right now because I love her. She's an amazing mother. And she is my wife, period. But it's like, I need you to keep trying those angles until you and her walk out. I truly believe in my heart that's going to happen, right? So to be that guy. So
that's your job.
It's my job. It is my job.
Literally your responsibility.
That woman you gave me, like Adam and Eve. It's like, no,
Yeah.
that's half of you, brother.
Yeah.
And if half of you ain't healthy, why don't you get it healthy?
Exactly
and not,
right.
you can't force it to be healthy, which is my nature.
Yeah.
Go fix the thing. It's like, well, not with a hammer, brother. Like that, we call it the truth hammer. It's going to be with you being a safer place to land so that she can get her feet under her and then be the woman that she's been dying to be for the, before she married you. So anyways,
Wow.
that calling of let's go get stronger with men. So when you talk to somebody who's advanced, like whatever, I'm 51 and you got a guy that's 66 saying, that thing you say about talking to men, to look somebody in the eye and say, you speak to me respectfully or not at all. Do you understand me? He's like, I've never been taught that. Can you teach me? My answer is, let's figure that out together. So that launches into this Return of Man book. Felt very good about it. It was extremely difficult to do. Many different people helped me with that, and I'm very thankful. And that was tough, 2.5 years, then getting it published. I'm laying at a daddy-daughter camp on a cot. I got my 17, 15 year, probably about 14 and 16 at the time. And I'm laying there awake because I wake up early, and I'm just sitting there just praying, talking to God. And my daughter wakes up, my 15-year-old now, Sarah. She goes, what you doing? And I'm like, talking to God. She goes, what's he saying? Tell me to write a book. What's it called? How do you love a fish? What's it about? I go, it's about a little girl that wants a fish. And she goes, like a little girl, like my daughter Eden. And she says, can I have a fish? And she says, what would you do with it if you had a fish? She goes, well, I would take it to school and I could eat some of my peanut butter sandwich and it could sleep on my pillow next to me. And she's like, well, that's not what a fish needs. It would actually die. So what a fish needs is this, this, and this. And she explains it to her and she's like, okay. And then the last thing you see, like a fish bowl. And God's just putting this in my head. And the little girl's kissing the fish bowl and the fish is kissing her back, right? So obviously she got the fish. And there's a challenge in her reply. It says, how do you love a fish? And the reply is according to its needs. And there's the Bible verse that talks about, loving others, not according to yours, but according to theirs. Like loving my wife according to her needs, not my needs, or what I need is this, so I'll fix you so you'll be that. What does she need? And that's a lifelong struggle. As we change, as we, with women it's menopause, with men it's the midlife crisis, they call it, all that stuff. We're constantly changing, so it's not a fixed formula, right? And that launched a book. The first chapter has those little images. But then when you look at it, there's these there's 11 life lessons. Like, how do you meet somebody? Where my other daughter meets a little girl in the neighborhood, and we get back to the house. I say, hey, honey, I should have taught you this a long time ago, but I'm going to teach you a thing that we call high five. She goes like, no, we do those at school, like a high five. No, I mean like high as in hello. So you guys would know this. It's like the first, stand straight up, look people in the eye, firm handshake, strong voice, smile. Like those are the things, and we practice in the driveway. We laugh and go in the house. But when I see these things, and I wrote on the back of the book, it's like, these aren't stories we had to come up with to write a book. This is what we do. Like this is what my family does. And I meet family after family after. When I get like the dead fish handshake, the princess kiss my hand handshake from a man, I'm like, uh-oh, like this ain't good. Or with a kid, and you go, why doesn't he know how to do this? And you meet his dad and you go, that's why. Yeah. He doesn't know how to do this. He was never taught that, right? My kids, please and thank you, sir and ma'am. One of the chapters is going to a restaurant or a coffee shop, just listen to how people talk. I'll give, I'll take, I'll have. So my kids would look them in the eye, put the menu down and say, may I please have? Thank you. Starting with the ladies, may I please have, may I please have. Then my son, may I please have. Then me, may I please have, thank you. We get phenomenal service. And in this instance, the waitress says, thank you for saying that, because it's happened many, many times. People talk at me all day, and you have impeccable manners, and we get amazing service, not because we don't do it for that, but that's not how you talk to people.
So good, brother.
When's that book come out?
When I get back to Denver, they should be in the mailbox, the tangible, touchable, last chance to fix it, and then from there it's hit print. So I'm guessing within the month.
Amazon.
It'll be Amazon. It'll be on the first one we just did Amazon and didn't do the promotion sales thing. On this one we learned from that. So it's Christian Faith Publishing is the company, and that'll be kind of wherever you get books.
So what month would people expect to be able to go online?
I'm hoping by next month they can get that.
Right. Awesome. Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll put a little link up to Return of Man, so anybody who wants to read that and go online and grab that, we'll do that. And also, if this comes out in time for that, then we can do it. If not, when it comes to that, we can do a post on Instagram for you.
Yeah,
and
I
just,
appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Get me a copy too. I'll go and grab a copy or two for the kids.
And in contrast, that book came in 2 weeks that was written, because it was like that was the Holy Spirit kind of, well, Sarah, what else should we write? And it's boom, 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 boom. We came up with 11 points, put it into things, sent it off, and said, this time let's just pay for it to get done. So people helped me with that, invest a little bit of money, they'll pay it back. Threw it out there, and it was just quick. It's just the editing process took so long. So this took 2.5 years to get on paper. Then this one was done, and then.
So I just want to circle back to two things. One thing that I'm really seeing and highlighting there in your journey that sort of resonates with me and mine, and I'm assuming if that's the case, it'll resonate with others, is this journey of writing. So, you talked to 3 stories throughout this conversation. One with your grandfather before you went off for your first deployment. 2, which was obviously the writing of your book. You said one of the hardest things that you've ever done, and drawing on those stories and having people gather around you to help that. And then this kids book. And maybe there's one other that I missed, but ultimately God fueling that in you. And he's used this as a theme in your life to really, obviously as a kid, you said maybe around 10 years old, you came to the Lord, and he's used that as something. I think anybody watching, especially men, really tapping into whatever that little gift that resonates with you, whether it's writing a poem, writing a song, whatever it is. I think writing is a really important one. It really helps you find your own thoughts. As much as I it sounds funny, dislike writing, when I do, there's successful things happen, right? We write shows or movies or whatever. And I see that exposes something within you and helps open it up. So I would just say, if you're listening to really let that maybe see if the Holy Spirit tugs on you there and see what comes out of. Just give it 10 minutes of writing and just see what happens.
Yes.
And 10 minutes probably turns into an hour, and then maybe it turns into a kid's book or it turns into some other story.
Man, technology has come a long way, and I think it's going to unlock some amazing things that we're going to see in this. And not so Greg Steer talks about not the future generation. You call kids the now generation, because what they're seeing and all that is our future. And to be able to, so I took this thing, and the VA tells me that I have ADD. Kind of knew that already, right?
That's what they tell you?
Yeah. So they're like, when do you want to start your medications? I'm like, there won't be any medications, right? And then they're like, well, then why'd you want to know? I don't know. I just wanted to know, because what I've known for a long time, and they just confirmed, is that my mind works differently, and I need people to help me finish things, right?
Teams.
And that's not a curse. That's a blessing, right? So now you have to get good at relationships. But what I've found is that each one of these books took several people to get the thing that God blessed me with there was something there, but to get it so others could be blessed took a lot of people, and that's a blessing. So it's going to be a victory amongst many people when this kid's book comes out. What I found is that writing, just like I was talking about, I was in a movie called Ride for Lance. When you do something truly amazing, it shouldn't be amazing once. It should be amazing forever. So if you can edit, I just walked across Spain with my daughters, right? My 15 and 17, we did the Camino de Santiago. We walked with 2 teenagers for 175 miles over 2 weeks. And now I'm getting it edited, professionally edited, to have a story that it will get better every year. That motorcycle ride got better every year. Riding for my buddy Lance and honoring him, riding from Virginia Beach to Seward, Alaska and back for 31 days. There's now a movie, and I can go back and watch that on Memorial Day, and it gets me. Like, it's emotional. It's very, very cool, right? So to be able to do this and have that kind of thing, like if I can hear something from God and write it down. If I don't write it down, it was awesome, and then it never blessed anybody. But if I can capture it, whether it be through spiritual journaling, if I write the book, if I do whatever, now most of that book, when I say wrote down, I walked and talked into a microphone. I had it transcribed. I scrubbed it and said, what was God saying at that moment? And then it turned into being a book. So if we can, how many minds out there right now are working on a different level where they are firing, God is speaking to them because they're being still and listening, but then they capture it and somehow it blessed him. You know what I mean? Or they say it, you're a storyteller, through movies. Man, that's how I learn in movies. Like I remember quotes from movies like crazy. I just talked about C.S. Lewis. I just talked about because it really mattered. And usually it's not the part, everybody's like, that one part? I'm like, what about the other part? Remember that one thing he said that fueled me, that kind of deal, that walking and not talking while you're doing all that kind of stuff. So to be able to teach people how to listen to God and then capture that and then spend time thinking. I thank God for my staff because if nothing else, they've allowed me time to stop focusing on the minutia of the business and think. Like literally just to be still and think. And I'll add this because this was a lesson that, God bless Charlie Kirk, when he got shot, he picks up the microphone, he goes to speak and he got shot. And I asked people, do you know why he set it down? Like he picked it up, but why did he put it down, right? And I saw in an interview a long time ago, he's so brilliant, he's just so smart, he started being short with people. And if he sets it down, he will fully listen. So he doesn't cut you off. I'm trying not to think of what to say next. I'm trying to hear you.
Wow.
Then he picked it up. So I believe that the reason he killed, again, principalities, I don't think it has much to do with this young tormented individual.
Yeah.
Because we created that, right? But those principalities were like, this young man was 31 years old. He was better than all of us. And getting better on that level that quickly, he can't stay if you're the enemy.
Yeah,
He's got to go, right?
Yeah.
So why did God become man and come to this world? So he says to Pontius Pilate, it's very clear. Why did God become man and come to this world? Pontius Pilate says, so you're a king then. You're correct, I am a king. For this reason I was born. For this reason I came here for you, to testify to the truth. Like Jesus Christ's life is a testimony to the truth. On all these little things, not one big grand thing for most of it, it's all the little things. And they killed him for it. Charlie Kirk's life was a testimony to the truth. Everything. He was getting better as a husband, the husband and dad. We just said this with our buddy at the, he goes, then I had a kid. I've recently had kids. I want to be better. Time to define what better means, right? Charlie Kirk was about to get way better. Why? Because he just had 2 children. And his wife, like a supporting wife, he's about to get so much better at a rate that none of us know. He had to go, right? And they killed him for it. He was a testimony to his life was a testimony to the truth. We should be that. And you won't see me wearing I am Charlie Kirk. I'm Jimmy Graham. Right? You are Blaze, you are Craig. God's and he'd be the first one, by the way, says this ain't about me. It's like if he's figured anything out, it's like this is about Christ. But it's a blessing when you can train Christians to go, I'm just a sinner and I suck and I'm saved by grace. Like, don't say just when you talk about, you're not just anything if the Holy Spirit lives in you.
That's exactly right, man.
Yeah. When
so I got it. We got it. It's sort
Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Like when Charlie Kirk died, we're just on that. I just feel compelled to say this. Why did everybody get hurt? Like people that never knew him, they're like, what's going on? Like something's wrong. I'm like, my daughter said, just like I was feeling, I feel like I lost a family member. I said, because you did. Like the Holy Spirit was just hurt when he left this earth, and I felt it in my Holy Spirit. That rocked me. But then it turned to fuel. So what this is the big secret the enemy doesn't know. Charlie Kirk can't die. Yeah. He's either going to heaven or hell. And we know exactly where he's out. Yeah. And the lesson was for my daughter, that is the Turning Point USA president of her chapter. You should have seen her after they took Charlie Kirk out of the game. She sat there with a bunch of teenagers and pointed at PowerPoints. Then all these young ladies watched Erica Kirk talk. They now have focus. Yeah. They're on fire now.
Yeah. It talks about God turns everything for good, right?
That's right.
And you look at how many people heard the gospel at his funeral. Hundreds, if not 1 billion people watched that and heard the gospel message, and you see all these people just get put on fire.
And it was the gospel message. Like President Trump turned it into a campaign. They're like, come on, man! But some of those
the gospel and did an altar call.
Oh man, that was beautiful. I never thought I'd see that in my lifetime, and this is why. And that's
if you think about Billy Graham, right? He preached at a stadium with hundreds of thousands of people, right? But think about 1 billion people got preached to in one day.
Yeah, and the power of. Oh man, it was so beautiful to see elected officials saying what they said, because this world has said you can't do that. Like I remember one of my bosses one time. I was living in Helena, Montana, coming back and doing the GRS thing. We're at a TDC class, and he says, I just mentioned that I'd gone to check out a Tea Party thing. Like I don't even know what that is. I still don't know what that is, right? But it's like, let's go check it out. And he heard me and he goes, hey, you can't go to those. I'm like, what do you mean I can't go to those? He goes, you've got a TSSCI clearance. You can't go to those political things. They'll pull your clearance. I said, it's their clearance. They can pull it whenever you want. You never tell me where to stand. And it's the last I heard of it. It was kind of like, but you've been trained to, you can't do this, you can't do that. Yeah. I have never stood at a library for stuff in our kids' books, or at the Capitol, or at a Pride Fest, or whatever, and had federal agent guy who's also a dad stand, or a cop, or a firefighter, or the governor. They've never stood next to me. They believe in what I'm saying, but they're like, I can't. I work for the government. I'm like, I didn't ask you as a cop, I asked you as a man. So why won't you come, right? And then I say, and I mean it to sting, I'll stand for your kids too. And they're like, I was like, that's got to go. So when I saw elected federal officials talking about Jesus Christ, I'm like, this is something. Like I never thought I'd see this in my life. So you want to keep a good man down? No, I won't say good man. You want to keep a man down, give him a good deal. You might mess up my pension. You might mess up my So when you do break out and say, God, I'm not playing by those rules. 2 Chronicles 16:9 says, the eyes of the Lord scours the earth to and fro, looking to bless those guys, those hearts who are wholly his. It means you got to risk for me. And if you risk everything for Jesus, he goes, ding, and it might not be a bag of cash. Yeah. It might be better than that. It might be relationships.
So yeah, they say, I heard this, it was brilliant. It said, the way to, it was something that, the sum and the substance of what I'm about to say is there. I'm probably butchering it, getting it wrong a little bit, but if you want to control man in nations, you give him medals and titles.
Yes.
You give him medals and titles, and ultimately, like that's what the Russian USSR used in order to bring people into their little game, right, and to control the world, which is just give them titles and medals.
Yeah.
Tell them that they're in charge.
Yeah.
And make them feel good about that, and then they won't. It doesn't get everybody, but that's why you have the gulags. That's why you have this breaking down. And it's like, well, I can't. I work for the government. It's like, well, if you actually look at the founding fathers, you look at the documents this whole country was written on. Hey, I wasn't Australian. I still am an Australian in a sense. I'm actually an American. Well, you know what I really am? Follower of Christ, and I am.
That's
an
right.
American.
Christian first.
But I'm a Christian, absolutely, and son of God, citizenship in heaven, right?
That's
what
right.
They say.
Well, that's the distractions, because you mentioned that, talking about distractions, and I think that right now, as we're drinking Jocko drinks, and I've got my Origin shirt and all that kind of stuff, it's like, and I believe he would believe this too, but talking about like some of the buddies that we talked about, JP and all these guys, jiu-jitsu, shooting guns with Jimmy, whatever that ends up being. I truly believe this now, and I don't back down from this at all. If you're not a Christian, if you don't know where you're going to go when you and your family dies, right? Those are all distractions. Yeah. Now, once you square that away, I believe they're duties. Not that everybody has to be, and I've said this, I mean, nothing against Jocko, but he'd agree. Who's more powerful, Charlie Kirk or Jocko? That kind of thing. You're like, it's not even close. Jordan Peterson, just means that somebody who boldly stands and speaks the truth no matter what.
That's right.
Right? That is true strength. So it is your job to protect your family, spiritually, mentally, physically, all that stuff. It's like, that's the real stuff. So So if they're out of order, it doesn't mean it's bad. It means that you don't start there. You can be a prepper. Like that's we get a lot of prepper stuff going on. And I say, so you're going to have more beans and bullets than anybody. Then there's going to be a big fight. You're going to live longer, then lead your family to hell. That doesn't make sense to me.
Exactly right.
Why wouldn't you start with first things first? Like eternity, now find true strength. Not they think I'm strong, true strength.
Yeah.
Like you're not only the guy that could do it, you're the guy whose phone rings.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'll be there. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, and then also the strength to stand, like you're saying it, but it's also the strength to stand up on truth. Like, who was it? James O'Keefe. I heard him say this the other day. He's like, "What's your price? You know, is it?" I got a revelation of this actually when I'd fallen into a lot of sin in my past prior to coming to Christ, and I'd fallen into drugs and a number of different things. And I remember the thought crossed my mind. It's like, Blaze, you know, you sold out at X at this price. Money and things came my way, and I just started giving up Jesus. You know, I started making enough money when I was like 20, and it only took a little bit, and then I started sinning on the side, and I started doing this on the side, I started doing that on the side, and before you knew it,
yes,
I was entrenched in sin,
Yeah.
and it showed me, and I remember I remember the thought in my head was, Blaze, you literally sold out. You have really no faith. And that was the beginning of the end to me, where I ended up becoming born again.
Yes.
I went being a believer in Jesus, realizing that I sold out. And I would, for sin and a bit of money and some pleasure, I would let Jesus go.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until I became really, truly born again that I'm like, oh, there's no price on that now. You can't buy that from me. You can't throw some woman in front of me. You can't do that now. And then James O'Keefe framed it in another way. He said, like, where are you prepared to be bought at? You know, like, is it $100,000? Is it $10 million? Whatever the price is, if it's not your life, you're buyable. If the price for truth is $10 million, then you're purchasable. But if the price for truth is your life, that's the only place you can put it. Otherwise, you're a saleable item at any moment.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's true freedom.
Yeah.
Like, I think Charlie Kirk could wear a shirt that says freedom.
Yeah.
More so than the president of the United States.
Yeah.
Because he got up there and he said, listen, Erica can forgive, I can't. And maybe I'll talk to her about that, but I don't forgive.
That's
like
what
all
he
that
said.
stuff.
Yeah,
and you're
I
like,
understand.
then you'll never know that shirt. You'll never know true freedom,
Yeah.
right? That kind of thing. It's like, I got to get back, all that. John MacArthur, we just lost John MacArthur, right? And he just said this. I just heard somebody talking about this, because I think there is a big difference between preachers and pastors. Like anybody can preach and talk about Jesus, but I believe a pastor is a teacher and a leader and a protector, right? So it's like, are you living it? You can read the Word of God, study it. You can make a living being a preacher and drive the best car like in town. You can live in the best neighborhoods, and you have status, right? But you're not going to understand it until you actually live it as well, right? So living that thing. And the quote that I heard was, he said, John MacArthur once said, well, which battles, like, you know, if you see COVID, if you see this, if you see children, he goes, which battles do we pick? Choose your battles carefully. Which battles do we pick? He said, you choose every battle.
Yeah.
When it comes to this book, to Jesus Christ, you pick every battle.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't mean you're running lead on them, but if somebody says, where do you stand on this? I stand here. Where do you stand on this? I stand here.
Yeah.
Because everybody's looking to him and saying, okay, man of God, where do we stand? He goes, this is exactly where I stand.
Yeah.
And you find people not saying that. Like if you're not talking about, and I really mean this, and maybe I need to pray about it. On September 14th, I watched every pastor that I know and respect. I watched their sermons on September 14th. And if you didn't mention Charlie Kirk, like a brother in Christ that was full of the Holy Spirit died and you didn't mention it, I have a problem with you. Like that was your brother and they led, and you looked at a congregation that was hurting and you didn't address their pain. Do you care? And that really bothers me. And like to the point of changing churches, to the point of searching and saying, okay, we're not doing this anymore.
It's really good.
Yeah, 100%. And honor to Charlie Kirk, and to make that very clear, honor him deeply. And I think also, that you can't get away with not mentioning, as a follower of Christ, any mature man, you have to be speaking on things constantly.
Yes.
And you have to be speaking at things constantly. Like, this is happening, I'm going to say something to it.
Yes.
And you did that proving of that you know, that would have taken some stones, man. Like with that situation you talked about being at that retreat or that camp or whatever.
Yeah.
And that guy, you're swearing, and there you are, like, yeah, you
The
give
new
it a
dude.
correction. And it says in the scriptures to do that.
Yeah.
But so many people, man, I would have struggled. Like if we were like this, and he told me he was a Christian, I let it slide a lot. But being in front of a group and saying you're a Christian thing, that takes some guts, man. And look at the response you got as a result of it. You had the guy weeping on stage with the Holy Spirit. Did.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit moved you. And I think we all have to push each other to do that. Like if you see something out of whack, your pastor not speaking to things that should be spoken to, or bowing the knee, or whatever that doesn't align with the scriptures, that isn't in truth, you're obligated to say something.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
You gotta say
you're a
something.
kid.
What good are you?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
right.
like I just said this recently because I'll say as Able Shepherd, I go, this isn't my bus. I just get to drive it for now.
Yeah,
all
right.
this is God. The CEO of this business is Able Shepherd is God. But if that was a church and the pastor's driving and we're all on the bus, and there's cliffs on both sides because there are, and the wheel's about to come off, men need to speak up. Like, hey guys, I have a problem. We need to stop right now and look at this wheel. It's like, no, you don't have any faith because you're not trusting me. You're right, I don't. Right? It's like there's a problem and I see it, but we've been told not to speak up because somehow you're bad mouthing the church. I'm like, no, I'm very careful about that.
Yeah.
I don't flippantly jump from church to church. I don't flippantly question pastors, but when I know something to be wrong, you're going to hear about it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing where it's like, and doing it, correctly and going to the person in that certain room, all of that.
Yeah.
And then truly it's like, okay, you get to say whatever you want because that's true. What I'm in charge of is, do I walk in this? I'm looking for spiritual leadership for my family, and that's exactly my job, and they're doing it. And it's goodbye. Like, that's the deal. My tithe is going with me, and that's the deal. That's my job as a dad.
I also, what just hit me then is being present, like you're talking about. Like, so you need to be actively involved, and this comes back to leadership principles as well on a number of fronts, right? And I'm learning this deeply with working with lots of different people from lots of different backgrounds, is communicating constantly, being very present, which is hard, and being there, being involved. You have to turn up, right? And so
gotta do it.
you're talking about these elements where it's like, if you want somebody to, you can't put them at Sunday school, your kids at Sunday school, and think that, oh, now I'm good. They've got their Bible training for the week. It's like
from some stranger.
It's like, are we not praying together? Are we reading the Bible together? I mean, I need to be doing that more of that with my daughter, but I know it's setting those you're setting an integrity. You're saying this is a standard, and this is what we do, and we do it by the leading of the Spirit. And it doesn't become like a formulaic or methodical. It actually becomes truth. It's like, well, it can be methodical, but it's not formulaic.
Right.
It's not some formula that you just sit and go, now we pray, just say a prayer. It's like, no, actually when we're praying to God. Yeah. And actually what we're doing is we're setting a standard for that. And so what you're talking about, go ahead.
Here's the hard part for men. Once you say something, if you say, like we said in de-escalation, there's three things like for men.
Yeah.
Ask wise questions.
Yeah.
Say true words. Or be silent, right? Yeah. But once you throw down that kind of gauntlet, they get to do it too. Like to have your kid go, Dad, do you believe that to be true? And you're like,
so good.
My son did this, and it's so beautiful when you're looking, when you're really looking to get better. One of them, we call it innocent giggle. My son went to throw his plate away, and he also threw away his spoon or fork. And I go, hey, you threw away your fork. But I said it like a total jerk, just like that, right? And he goes like this. He goes, huh? And he just picked it up and put it in the thing, in the dishwasher. And I go, come here a second. And he's like, am I in trouble? And I was like, that was pretty awesome. I apologize because I kind of barked at you because I'm kind of frustrated about silverware going away. That's this big, by the way. What's bigger is that I capture this and say, you just taught me something. You weren't laughing in my face. You just kind of like, so I did. Let's just make it right. And it was a big deal. And now I teach that to grown men. And everybody in the house kind of does that, right? So that's a big deal that he showed me. He's so funny. If we look to our kids, they teach us so much. Another one that's kind of funny. I said something that was kind of harsh, and I go, if you see me overstep that thing, like I'm just trying to be a better dad, not softer, by the way, better dad.
100%.
Good father, good as in godly, as in right as in righteous, as in right by God. If you see, can you help me out, buddy? Can you give me a little sign? And you get to pick it. Wow. And I go, what's the sign? He goes like this. I go, well, okay, that's a sign. So my daughter, I don't even remember what it was, and I don't think it was even a thing, but I look over and he goes like this. Shortly after that, I look over at him and he goes, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what is that? I go, oh, that's that sign. And my daughter goes upstairs, Sarah, and I go, what's up? He goes, I think you were a little short with Sarah. And I go, what did I say? And he goes, you said this. I go, I don't think that's short, but thank you though. And I need to go make that right. Let me go check on her. And I go, Sarah, did that come up? She goes like, no, what are you talking about? No, I'm just checking, babe. I just want to make sure. And I come back, I'm like, good job. Thank you for doing that. She said it was good. It's exactly what I need. Like they know I'm raising a man. He knows I'm raising young ladies, right?
Yeah.
So they don't treat him like just some stupid kid brother. They teach him as a young man that's going to someday protect his family. And he needs to know. In the book, it's called, let me think, what is that called? To raise him up and say when your powers are coming in, that's what it's called. I tell him at night, I'm like, hey, can you kind of take it easy when you're playing with Eden? She's only 7, and your powers are coming in, so you could accidentally hurt her. And he goes, what do you mean my powers are coming in? I'm like, you're not seeing this? Like every day you're stronger, and you're faster, and you're kinder, and you're coming in. You will be the protector of this family. And he goes, and me and you will protect them. I go, no, you will protect all of us. I'm going the other way. And that doesn't feel good for men, but it really feels good knowing that the protector's coming, you know?
Yeah, right.
And it's his job, and the girls know that. Now, Rebecca knows she's in charge at 17, and she's bold. She also knows, he goes, well, Rebecca's older. I'm like, right. But as a man, someday you will be the protector of all of us. And then he just goes to sleep with a smile on his face.
That's so good.
And he's like, even you? I said, even me.
Wow. Super cool. A lot of layers there, a lot to digest. I don't think we've missed anything because I'm assuming that everybody I want to hear more, but that's probably a good place to also, that's also a good place to leave people. And I think also it's a good place, there's the book, obviously.
Yeah.
Kind of man. So I think that's a place that we'll put that in the description. Yeah. And then I think we've covered off a gamut of things that feel like there are great stories and really leaving people with wisdom, wise words and true words.
There was one thing at the beginning you said you hope you could share it. I don't remember.
Oh, yeah.
Leaving people if we could leave people knowing this truth, that there's a greatest story ever told. And
this is good. Can you say this one more time? Just with the greatest truth, repeat. Sorry, because I kind of
that your life is an action adventure. So a lot of guys, I say this, and this is in the book. It's if you understand that the truth is your life is an action adventure. Then you may not substitute it for somebody else's fake one on Netflix, right? And I'll show you. So I was at 30-something when I realized when it landed, when this landed. So I'm studying at Liberty University online. I'm in Lebanon and seeing tracer, a lot of this stuff called a prayer. While I'm studying Liberty University, writing paper, listening to my professor, all this stuff, and it dawns on me. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm studying Old Testament, and I drew this out. Now I draw it on concrete for kids. There's a line right here, and there's an arrow this way and this way pointing to eternity, right? There's an old covenant, an old contract, an Old Testament. There's a new covenant, new contract is what it means. It means a New Testament. What divides them is a cross. It's funny that fell right there, right? 400 years of silence and then a cross. And what everybody thought after that silence was that a warrior was going to come and there'd be a great battle. Now that is coming. They weren't wrong. They were just off. Because we always wanted it on our timeline.
Yeah, totally.
God's like, no, that's coming. But this one, there was a baby that cried. And that's how he chose to do this thing. And I think it's very convenient for passive men to read half the book. Mother Teresa, Jesus. It's like, well, hold on. Most of the stuff we talked about right now was the first half of the book, right? And they go, well, that wasn't Jesus. I'm like, hold on. I thought you believed in a triune God. So was Jesus there or not? Oh, yeah, he was. Did Jesus kill? When Phineas stabbed, a young man came in and brought this Midianite woman in, started having sex in front of the priests and all that stuff. And one of the grandsons of Aaron came over, Phineas, stabbed. That's not self-defense. What would happen if I didn't stab them? Nothing. But he stabbed a spear right through both of them and killed them. And it pleased God. Wrestle with that one, right? Yeah. It just means that all of this is your history. This is your history, and this is what you're commanded to do. This is the example, but this is where we came from. So he didn't just give us this half, he gave us the whole Bible. And it is a mystery, that's why we talk to God. If there was no mystery, we'd just be like, well, the book says whatever. It's like, he saw a guy and he was a child molester, and did he whatever, hurt him? He did give us the millstone reference, so we can use that a little bit. Yeah. But it means this is what I got out of this. Revelation's that way. Well, where am I? You're here. And I really missed this my whole life of Sunday school. I didn't realize it was true. When I heard David and Goliath, it was just a cool story. Little guy meets the big guy because he's got faith. Is that the story? And then I realized, no, it's a true story. And this is a lineage of Christ. And I'm like, oh, that's a really good story. But I didn't know I was in it. And once I realized you are here is what I call that chapter. You are here. Like the greatest story that's ever been written is a true story and you're in it. Well, that all of a sudden gives a guy a purpose.
Yeah.
And you're like, my story's going to be a good one, right? This
So
isn't going to
good.
be a hypothetical anymore. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing playing video games? You know, and I got nothing against video games unless it consume your life.
Yeah.
I just see battles and all those things to kind of segue all this stuff is that, so I gave you all these platforms. I love how Tim Tebow says, this football, baseball, this stuff, this is just a platform so I can get you in the room and talk about real stuff.
So good.
And he talks about Christ.
Yeah.
So I gave you this time in the SEAL teams, and I gave you time in GRS, and I did all that. And man, I really did. There was times when I wanted to go kill people for the country.
Yeah.
I wanted to be enough. I wanted to be the dude. And he's like, patience, your time is coming. Right? I even spared you on that rooftop in Benghazi, and I spared you here and here. There's many. Like GRS was in many ways more dangerous than my actual SEAL team time, right? It's like, man, you're out there winging it, and people are shooting, and you're doing the thing. You're like, gee, how am I still here? And he's like, you'll see. You'll see. Wow. But what I need now, and I'm like, what you need is a warrior, and I'm gonna get the right guns. He's like, no, you know what I need? I need a guy that can love while being disrespected. And I'm like, but I don't like that when he goes, that's why you need it, right? So I don't know what kind of disrespect is coming, but that's what he's getting me. I say he's building my resume for a job that doesn't exist yet, right? And this came from frustration, talking to that guy right there, because he works in what? Concrete. And I was like, hey, brother, I got a question. I feel like God's working on the foundation, and it's making me crazy because I'm ready to build. Like, I'm like, come on, man. So let's just talk about concrete. Why would concrete need to be like, if you're laying a foundation, I feel like that's all he's doing. He's making it bigger and deeper. Why would it have to be this deep? And he goes, well, it depends. What are you putting on it?
Yeah.
And I was like,
it's a great answer.
so he's going to do something so big that we're not done with foundation work yet. And I'm like, I choose to believe that. I'm like, all right, I don't know what it is. If I picked, it'd be sacks of money and a bunch of guns. But I don't get to pick. If one thing I've learned, it's like, God, I trust you. You pick. And me and Rachel and the kids in this nation and then my children and their children would be better if I can just be patient, and I'm not good at that, and be obedient. But when you say go, I'm going to go, right? So say go.
So good.
Awesome. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, guys. I've loved this, man. This is good.
Appreciate you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really has been good. A lot to chew on. Love to get you back and hear more of this story. And yeah.
And if someone's interested in
Yeah.
doing some training, Able Shepherd with a website to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Able Shepherd. I say if you want to see our website, what we do, go to ableshepherd.com. If you want to see the heart, go to YouTube because you'll see us doing it, right? And that's everything from my favorite videos are breaching. I brought in a SEAL team like breaching expert because I wasn't a breacher and I wanted it to be pure, right? So I brought him in. We had it professionally edited, and it's just a fun video to watch men doing something dangerous,
Yeah,
getting
cool.
after it. And then my second favorite is called ITB. It's Intro to Backcountry. It's a bunch of kids in the mountains on motorcycles. For
Love it.
like day after day camping. And I say, my son falls, it might not be his dad that picks him up. It's somebody else. But I have them do a covenant. They don't have to sign it. I send out a piece of paper, say, hey, we're going, you're invited. But if you are going to come, I don't want to see anybody drunk. I don't want to hear any language. I want this, and this. And you don't have to sign it, but if you disagree, don't show up in the parking lot, right? But when we go as a family. Everybody comes back better. Like my family and my time, they're valuable to me, so you're not going to mess up my trip. So if you're going to act right, let's go model this for these kids, and if you're not, stay home.
Well, some final lessons. Write things down. Go out in the wilderness and, pursue Christ. Pursue truth. Pursue ultimate truth.
And this, I've been really praying about this because it was just a hard lesson learned. Like obviously it was Charlie Kirk, and thank you, to him for doing that and for God for expressing that. Put that microphone down and listen. I enjoy talking. I grow talking, but it ain't all about me. So I'm working on listening more.
It's really good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, praise God. Thank you for joining us, brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Bless you guys.
brother.
Yeah.